The following is a presentation of iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations on LSRTV, the voice of sim racing.
Good evening, Sim Racing fans, and welcome one more time on the regular season to the Talladega Superspeedway for LSRTV's continuing coverage of the Superspeedway Cup Series on iRacing Live. We are happy that you're with us tonight, as always, every Friday evening for tonight's Dega 250. It is round number 14 on this 14th season of Superspeedway Cup Series action, and we're happy that you're joining us topside tonight. Myself, Evan Pasoko, Rachel Whiteford with you, and Cisco Scarbo's downstairs. Rachel, it all comes down to this. There are 7 drivers with wins who are locked into this championship, and to be fair, not everybody on points is up for grabs tonight, but there are positions that are not locked into the championship that will be determined here tonight. Guys still trying to get in on points. Maybe somebody without a win can jump the queue and get to the front of all of those. We're going to have to wait about 250 miles to find out, but this is your last chance to be a part of the championship fight that begins after tonight.
Well, it certainly is, Evan, and tonight is the final round, as you just said. It means everything is to play for and everything is to lose. This is the last chance saloon. These guys have to make it tonight if they want any chance. There's guys who want to point in, and for somebody who's outside the points chances, a win could be your only chance.
We're going to spend a lot of the time talking about the drivers by that cut line. Let's talk you through your championship grid coming into tonight. The drivers in based on wins, they are locked. That's not a problem. That's Mark Jorgensen Jr., Rodney Watford, Brandon Chaburko, Chris Piscini, Shade McKeechin, Frank Brasilia, and Eric Walker. Their wins can hear them tee themselves a spot in the championship. First driver in on points, Corey Henry. Ben Paul Servant 9th, Andrew Berger 10th, but then things start to get a little bit tight towards the points. Rod Flagg to the good by 17 points is 11th, and the final driver in is that P12 position, Ray Rittenauer, 14 points ahead of Jason Altmans, who is the first driver out by 14 points. The likes of Brandon Cruz Monsivice 14th, and so on, right there knocking on the doorstep. But like we said, with the win and your in being a factor, when somebody from inside of the top 25 could jump in front of all of them, which means that if you're Rittenauer and somebody behind you wins, you lose your spot, so he almost can't protect 12th. He almost has to attack 11th.
Absolutely, he's got to go for it because it will matter more than ever. As you said, Evan, we move on to the chase after this, and then, well, it's only those guys who are in that matter. This will be a big one for those guys, and it's a big one here tonight. Well, it's close as always, and some guys up front who have been really pulling out the stops so far in qualifying by the looks of things.
One thing that's interesting about this week and next, that it is going to be the only time all season where we go back-to-back. Talladega could open up the championship in 1 week's time. How about we take a look around this 2.66 miles Superspeedway, and let's take a lap on board Talladega.
On May 7th, the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series will meet at Talladega Superspeedway for the Geico 500. I'm Tyler Hudson from iRacing, and I'm here to show you what drivers will experience come Sunday. Let's do a lap around iRacing's virtual Talladega Superspeedway. As we drive into Turn 1, notice all the racing room. At 2.66 miles in length, Talladega is the largest track on the NASCAR circuit. You'll see guys racing 2, 3, and sometimes 4 wide all day long. This isn't a physically demanding racetrack, but it's probably the most mentally demanding. Drivers compare it to a 4-hour, 200-mile-an-hour chess match. Positioning yourself the first 499 miles for the last mile is what it's all about. As we come off Turn 4, you'll notice, unlike Daytona where the start-finish line is in the tri-oval, at Talladega it is past the tri-oval. This allows the drivers to set up their competitors off 4 for a slingshot pass to the finish line. That's a lap around Talladega Superspeedway. To find out more about iRacing, check out iRacing.com.
And that's how these guys are going to navigate this 2.66 mile super speedway. The catch is, though, not going to be doing it by themselves. Looking to have a grid of about 30 plus cars as we get set to get this one underway. Qualifying and the practice session have now drawn to a close, so for the final time in the regular season, let's head trackside and take a look at tonight's LSRTV starting grid. Ray Rittenauer, somebody who we were just talking about, comes into tonight in the final spot to transfer into the championship. 14 points to the good, but if somebody new were to win tonight, he would be the first man out. Starts off good, a 51.676, going to put him on pole, and he will be joined on the front row by the ever so consistent qualifier in Paul Servant. Derek Walker, Rodney Wofford going to make up row number 2. They'll start at 3rd and 4th respectively. Walker, somebody who's looking to solidify their position in this championship, and just behind them, the number 1 Chris Passini will roll tonight from P5.
Certainly will. Alongside him in row number 3, Frank Basile the third with row number 4, Mark Jorgensen Jr. He's back with Corey Henry alongside him. Row number 5, Roger Bluff and Jason Altmans in row 5.
Continuing on through, Casey Malone and Andrew Berger going to be back on row number 6. Actually, Malone and Berger will be 11th and 12th position, respectively. Seth the Merchant gets the night on lucky number 13 starting spot on his right-hand side. 14th place starter Glenn Hendrick. Just behind them is Justin Levine in 15th.
In 16th place, it is Ramon Evans with 17th, Kelly Dahl, Shane McEachin, Garrett Atwell, and Nathan Davies, your top 20.
Brandon Javerko way back in 21st position. Jared Haggerty joining him on row 11. He will start from 22nd. Best driver earlier tonight in practice, Jerry Champion, going to be back in 23rd spot. Austin Coop alongside 24th, and another top 5 in practice, Daniel Holloway in 25th.
Remainder of your grid tonight from 26th place to 32nd. We have Scott Saunders, Brandon Cruz, Monsivice, Dan Harrington, Scott Warren with Rod Flagg, the first non-qualifier in 30th, Kenny Holderman, and Mike Thiel rolling off 32nd and last, Evan.
The breakdown where the critical players are in this one again. First driver in, or rather last driver in, you got Ray Rittenauer with the second. Comes into tonight 12th. He starts first in this one. The first driver outside of the chase, Jason Oatmans, starts tonight up inside of the top 10, P10. Not that bad. He's 14 points behind Rittenauer, and the other closest challenger, Brandon Cruz Monsivice, 18 points back and 14th in the points into tonight. Is way back in 27, so he's going to have some work, no doubt. Again, though, none of that really matters if you're just going to park it in victory lane, and I think that it is extremely difficult to points race successfully at a plate track because you can lose 7-8 spots at a single lap, Rachel. So I think if it comes down to the last lap, you can't be backing off trying to finish just above your cut spot, because you talk about Rittenauer in 12th. He's only 3 points behind Rod Flagg, who's only 1 point behind Andrew Berger. So really 10th through 14th or 15th position don't really know their fate at the moment.
Things are certainly close, Evan, and it's going to be a very, very long 94 laps tonight, but our field is set. We are about to go green for the final non-chase race. And Evan, this is going to be explosive.
And the good news is once the championship gets kicked off, you're not going to have to wait too long. It is going to be kicking off next Friday right here on LSR TV and iRacing Live. A round of 12 going to Talladega once again. Daytona and Talladega will slice the field at half as we head into June. And on the 9th, we'll get things kicked off for the top 6. A 3-race winner-take-all, Daytona 07, Talladega, and Daytona night. That's all coming up. Still 6 races to go. But if you want to be a part of the fun, it's time to get the job done now. The iRacing.com official pace car ducks down to the inside of the racetrack. And as always, happy that you're joining us tonight on LSR TV and iRacing Live. Ray Rittenauer trying to defend his chase berth will bring us to the American Ethanol green flag tonight, underway one last time from Talladega.
Strong run on the outside lane, Evan, as they get going early on. And it could be early lead. The number 3 full spot on the outside lane, getting pushed there by Wofford in the number 7. 94 of Basilia III, just lagging back a little with the 12 of Corey Henry. Outside started strong, it's faltered by the backstretch.
One thing that we really took a look at 1 week ago is how that outside lane was off of the restarts. Well, that number 3 machine doing a pretty good job of at least hanging tight and being a part of the conversation. The inside is obviously the place to be, but you see the 20 now clearing on that 3 on the inside of the racetrack and trying to pull up about a 2-car length gap. That opens up the door for Walker. He's gonna take it. Early move to the outside of the racetrack. They'll go side by side for P1. Maybe the late start finish on will give Walker a chance here. Not going to happen though. First lap, first bonus point in the back pocket of pole sitter Ray Rittenauer.
Certainly is. 20 on the outside. Derek Walker's going to make a good run here. He's pulled up in front of Savant. Going to make sure he tries to get some run here. Teammate behind Savant, so that outside line should be looking pretty strong so far. Got to keep our eyes though on Jason Altmans and Mark Jorgensen Jr. on the low side there, Evan. That is a very strong pairing of cars to be up front, and, well, no holes barred at this stage. Looking back, though, through your field, things pretty too wide, all the way down to the bottom end of your top 20. But behind that, we've got the usual pack of stragglers who are just hanging back, waiting for that first big one.
Yeah, these races take a long way to get to the end. 94 laps at Talladega, 250 miles. If you've ever joined us on a Friday night, you are used to the routine, and so are these drivers. Doesn't mean that we're not going to see action up front. Another move for the race lead, this time by the one of Chris Passini, making that move from second in line on the inside of the racetrack to the outside to try to take away that run and try to do something with him. However, not going to get the momentum that he really needed. That Talladega 2 doesn't look like he'll be able to get enough speed down the Alabama gangback straightaway to be able to get there in turn 3. So he'll have to hold off and maybe try to get another run that next Talladega turn 4. But that's the kind of movements that we're going to be seeing all night long. Bottom to top. Watch the 88 here at Jorgensen. Gaps there. He takes it almost every single time. If that hole's open, they're going to make the move. And, well, the move that Chris Passini did is not going to pay out for him, but it's going to work for the 88. Jorgensen going to rocket to the race lead after 3 laps.
What a huge run he just got there, Evan. Absolutely massive run by Jorgensen Jr. Perfect timing. Leads across the line and will drop down clean in front of the number 87 of Rittenauer second there. Rittenauer going to pull up in front of Passini. Passini, well, he's looking like the elevator right now rather than the patron riding in it, because he seems to be getting everyone to the front.
Taking a look, about 12 drivers maybe total, both inside and out up front. Then you start to talk about the stragglers, 21st or so on back from that point. Then you get over a second off of the top spot. But the lead pack is relatively thick here. We haven't seen, especially on this new 2017 rules package, which we've had a couple of weeks to play with now, guys dropping single file. That outside lane has always been a viable option in this series. These guys work week in and week out, make sure that the setup that these guys are running constantly adjusted to provide the best kind of action. But I mean, that outside lane stays there. Historically, you don't make the move, you drop back, but you see the 87 and the 1, they stay in close proximity. About the same gap between those two as you see between the 88 and the 51 on the bottom. They're just keeping each other honest, but the outside is able to stay there on a constant, and we'll see if Rittenauer is going to be able to do anything. It is always so difficult at Talladega, though, to qualify up front, Rachel, and finish up front. Qualifying, no doubt, is a huge thing, but if there's any place that it matters the least, I think it would have to be a plate track, because it's not that it's easy to make moves through the field. Starting up front makes your life easier, but a lot happens in 250 miles, so you almost have to work a little bit harder. You're playing a lot more defense, and probably a lot more stressful looking out the rearview mirror as opposed to starting from the back and taking it easy getting up to the front.
It certainly can be, Evan, of course, but starting at the back does mean sometimes you get there, sometimes you don't. But if you start up front, it is a lot easier because you have less stress. There are less cars in front of you, so the panic of someone having a mistake, a wreck happening, and being afraid of being caught up in an unavoidable accident is much lower. There's less people in front, therefore less chance of a wreck. However, people fight for the front a lot more often, so it somewhat equals out. But I'd say it's a little bit less stressful. Riding in the front, typically, people are a little bit more patient. The outside is moving a lot more on this 2017 package, as we're seeing right here, as it looks like the 87 of Rittenauer second is going to try and have a look at Jorgensen Jr., but not going to get there in time. The outside really kind of having to shuffle to get back into a position here where they can really make a push, Evan, but it's, I'd say, less stress, but at the same time, you're right. These guys, especially when they're attacking so hard, front can end up being the back if you're not careful.
Something else I'm noticing is there's a lot of sparks flying off of the 88 Chevrolet, who's leading the field at the moment, of Mark Jorgensen Jr. The 51 is getting quite the show from running in second position in line. Speaking about that position, let's see if he goes topside. He does, almost like clockwork. You get that outside lane to drop back a little bit, you go topside, and that is such an effective move to go for the race lead, because one, you go to the top side, you're going to suck the 87 up to the back of you, you're going to have a run, but also because you're taking momentum away from the 88. Now, those guys in second and third in line, so the Roger Buck from the 71 or the 92 is the case alone, those guys who fill the void, they're not necessarily pulling up to the 88. The 88's more so dropping back to them as he loses that draft support, and that's why the outside works so good, but you got to time it. Coming out of the corner is the best place to do it. You see Buff make a move this time, halfway down the back straightaway. It'll be a tight squeeze if he's to get clear in turn 3, and I don't think he's going to be able to do that at the moment. They might get it out of 4, though, because the 51 and 71 hooked up. The guys at the bottom are not pushing.
They certainly are not, Evan. The bottom side just riding right now. Comfortable position for them, of course, as Glenn Hedrick, 21 car there, worked his way forwards in their third on the low side. But look, just back behind him, Chaburko is coming quickly. He's up from 21st to 14th already. And he's riding the elevator forwards. But this bottom line, it's a lot less stressful. You're going to watch your positioning a lot less. Stick to the yellow line, nice and easy. Outside lane, well, you've got to try and side draft off the low side. You've got to try and keep the car in front of you. Kind of stressful job, which is why it often takes so much power and such good momentum to get that outside lane moving. Look at it to the front. Roger Buff with that 71 car really riding this wake here. Altman's pushing hard. Could be a chance to have a go at 88.
And one thing that we always say early, and it's always kind of a knock on a Wood thing, is that so far so good. Obviously, these cars going to start to move around a lot more as more laps get put on the tires, and these guys get a little bit more impatient, so on and so forth. But I mean, we've seen plenty of moves for the race lead, plenty of challenges for the race lead, and again, that side-by-side up front has been so sustained. But everybody, for the most part, looks like they're very aware that it's only lap number 10 at 94, but a good way to get this race kicked off. Look at the 51, trying to get some clean air. Altman's looked low, looked high. Again, he is trying to get himself into the championship picture, trying to make up a deficit into tonight, and he's in a pretty good spot early as we stay gridlocked side by side for first.
We certainly do, of course. So one of the tricky parts, getting up to the front, not so hard, Evan. You can ride that side draft all the way up there, but with nobody in front of you, well, there's a big wall of air. As I say that, Roger Buff gets a huge run forwards. Altman's pushing hard here, trying to get him clear of Jorgensen Jr., but I don't think it's going to happen right now, although he is clear. Will he pull down? There's the question, is he taking Altman's with him? No, he drops down. Altman's can come down too. Wow, that's the first time I've seen two cars clear the low side there. Patience early on, of course, meaning people just give each other a little bit more room as he pulls up to help the 87 make their own charge towards the front there. He saw an opportunity, went for it, as the 80 will push the back of the 71 of Buff. Working hard here at the front. It's lap 11. It feels like lap 92.
Well, oftentimes when you see that guy on the outside not dive down right away and wait a little bit longer to bring the guy behind him, it's often a teammate, but I'm not sure that was necessarily a selfless move by Buff, because if Buff went right down and the 51 still had a run, he would have been dropping down, losing the momentum for a little bit of time, and Altman's might have still been able to do something with him. So the 51 obviously not all too hell-bent on working with the 71, because after he tucked the line behind him, he jumped right back up to the outside of the racetrack. Again, you want to lead on the outside, but it's difficult if you're the 51 right now to get that push to the race lead. It is so often that guy who goes bottom to the top who gets the job done. Straight drag race this time. Down the Alabama gang back straightaway, the 87 of Machinery Rittenauer still hanging out that second spot in line on the outside of the racetrack as he has for quite some time now. Things getting a little bit more tight behind them. The 20 and Eric Walker getting a little bit cozy with the 1. The 87 and the 92 really leaning on each other that time before as these guys get desperate to hang on to the draft. As you kind of see that single file breaking out about third or fourth. Nobody wants to get the line to get stuck out in a battle for the race lead now on Jorgensen. Going to keep the lane shut. Can the 51 go low? No, the 88 going to keep him behind him.
Certainly is. The 88 will do exactly what he has to do here to make sure he maintains that lead. Master of the lanes is Mark Jorgensen Jr. knows exactly what he has to do here to manage this traffic, Evan. We see it every week, and well, we've missed him for the last few. He's back on track here. Going to throw a nice big spanner in the works for those guys, hoping to get a win here to lock themselves into this final round. Well, the Master's back on track. You're going to have to try and beat him first if you want the win.
Obviously, these guys going to have to make a couple of trips to the pit lane if this race is to stay under green flag conditions. It's been a little bit since we've seen a race go caution-free. 3 wide, a little bit further back, involving the number 4. That time by the start-finish line. Garrett Atwell in the middle of the party. 28 of McEachin to his inside, and looked like it was the 94 and maybe the 24 actually of Andrew Berger who was topside. So we were talking a little bit about the pros and cons of starting up front and hanging out up front, or kind of dropping it back. If you are those 4 and the 24 and the 28 and so on and so forth, you're in a great spot in the lead pack, not a part of the double file, but I think the best position that you could be in at lap 14 at a 94 in an event with 80 laps to go. But it's the guys who have since lost touch with the lead pack, which isn't a high number in all fairness. The top 22, I would say, 23 are within 2 seconds, and that's within striking distance. But the guys 24th on the back, the longer this goes green, the further they're going to fall back. Strength in numbers, the lead pack is much quicker than a group of 2 or 3 cars here and there. Those are the guys that are really going to struggle in the green flag conditions. And in all honesty, you can't win the race from 4 seconds back if we have green flag pit stops. It's just not going to happen. So those are the guys who wanted to hang back but fell a little bit too far back, and now actually kind of have to hope on a yellow flag at some point. Doesn't have to happen now. It can happen in 65 laps, but they're going to need a yellow at some point. You just can't make up that much time with about a fifth of the cars.
Absolutely not. Fifth of the car is really going to be a problem for these guys. As well, once things do spread out, Evan, like you said, it is really difficult to make up time. Caution's really the only way you'll get that pack closed up again. Just the momentum in that front group, it really pulls it away from the rest of your field when things spread out. You'll see that here as it's already dropping off further backwards. We've got small groups just dropping right to the rear here. Although I think one thing we can guarantee is there will be at least one yellow flag tonight.
Not all that far away as well, and again, these races don't go by quickly, but for a driver, you have to kind of compartmentalize things, and it's difficult when you know, you get a race with 6 or 7 cautions or so to really figure out when that's going to happen. But the best strategy is come into this, planning it's going to be green, go your 25-30 laps, then come down pit road, then do your other 25-30 and your final 25-30, and you know, make it on either the 2 or the 3 stop strategy, whatever it's going to allot you to do, based on, you know, obviously how much fuel these guys are allowed to carry on board with them. But when you look at it that way, only 12 laps away from a trip down to the pit lane, thereabout, you're obviously going to have some guys short pit that. So now you're thinking in your head, okay, I'm closer to pit stops than I am from the start of the race. And that's kind of how you break things down and keep focused. And a big squeeze with a 51, all kinds of out of shape. And Altmans is going to come back up on track, and there they go.
Oh, that was the funniest accident I've ever seen there, Evan. They all went sideways. Unfortunately, didn't end as safely as we might like. Hopefully getting a replay up for you.
And it looked like, obviously into tonight, Jason Altman's 14 points out of a transfer spot. The 21 machine, Glenn Hedrick, pushed up off for the yellow line, tagged him at left through quarter panel. Thought they might have saved it, the 51, once, twice, 3 times, and he might have actually saved it in the end, but the problem was he snapped back up in front of traffic. The 22 tapped the brakes, and unfortunately for Chaburko, he got punted by a Shane McEachin, who was not expecting the brakes to come on in the center of the corner. Didn't see any of that in front of him. Caution flag is out just like that, and forget all the pit strategy talk.
Yeah, we're resetting. Everyone will have a full tank of fuel and 4 fresh Goodyear tires on their race cars. Time to go back to the start of this one again. Things are going to get interesting here. Caution now, really changing things up.
Obviously, these guys get to come down pit road this time, which is also good news for all the drivers who were multiple laps down as well at the point of, you know, when the caution flag came out. So there's only one driver who's really out of the loop on this, and it's going to be Jared Haggerty, who is 32nd and 3 laps down. He's going to be the only driver who obviously is trapped a lap down. But for all those guys who are up to 9 seconds back, they're okay. Some of the drivers involved in this accident actually not even waiting for pit road to open, wanted to make sure they got into the pit box in case they maybe lost their engine doing the extra lap and a half to get the rest of the way around. So looks like everybody going to end up okay. Race leaders down pit road first time tonight. The 88 leads us.
So it does indeed. We'll see those guys get fresh Sunoco race fuel and 4 Goodyear tires here. Will it be 4 though? Will it be 2? What are we going to see from these guys? We'll look at Jorgensen Jr., see what he does, our race leader. He's going up for right sides first. Will it just be right? So he's right sides down and away, Evan.
Going to be a 2-tire call for him, a 2-tire call for some, but also a handful here and there decide to go with 4 tires. But Jorgensen going to win the race off of pit road. Second off is going to be Piscini. Right now are driving up like he was the second off of pit road. I think he might have gone it courtesy of the #1 pit stall, the 87. Sneaks up, takes P2 at a pit road. Qualifying P1 does have its benefits.
Certainly does. Gets you in a great position for this race, and well, it can help a lot of the time. But Jorgensen Jr., who started, of course, in 7th and had that 7th pit box, he still managed to get himself back out on track very, very well here. As you mentioned, Rod Flag, though, qualified 30, is currently leading the race. Did not stop here, Evan.
Yeah, interesting, and I expect the 10 to come down. Rod Flag in an interesting spot, though, to make this kind of a call, because, you know, it's not like somebody who was running 15th position or so and, you know, stays out to make up some time. Rod Flag decided not to qualify tonight, but comes in 11th on the chase grid, which means that he is 3 points ahead of Ray Rittenauer, who's the last, but that means that Rod Flag's only 17 points away from being eliminated. And if, you know, somebody else is to get a win, then he's only holding off Ray Rittenauer by 3 points to what would be the final transfer spot, because then we would only invite 4 drivers in on points. We'd have 8 different winners if we saw a new winner tonight. So I know the 10 oftentimes likes to hang back, and this is exactly what I expected to come down to the pit lane this time. I think we also saw Harrington do the same. The 82 machine is currently, though, staying out on the racetrack, but he came down pit road the last time and just drove straight through it. So I would assume that means the lights wouldn't be going off this time. Typically, you do that when you want to come back around on the one to go and the lights stay on. So Harrington's going to do the same thing. I just think an interesting call for Rod Flag. I know he doesn't want to get in trouble, but it almost looks like it's a little too conservative. We'll see how it works out, though, for the 10.
Certainly will. That Pontiac Grand Prix going to be staying out here behind the pace car. Led laps, of course. Bonus points, Evan?
You get 1 or 2 here and there, and again, it works out for him. And again, it's not just doing the strategy tonight, and I did admit that it's difficult to kind of calculate what kind of points racing you want to do in a race like this, but at the same time, I think you gotta change it up, maybe just a little bit. Again, it's probably going to work out for Rod Flag. He knows what he's doing. He's dropping it back. He's also keeping that quick fix in the back pocket, so that's not, you know, going to be a concern at all. But, you know, at the end of the day, a long way to go. Just past the 1/5 distance.
Certainly is. 1/5 in the book, and, well, a long, long way to go here tonight. Lots of laps left to do. Well, we'll soon see how this one will unwrap, but it's looking... well, the first one was really an accident. It wasn't really impatience there, Evan. It was just a bit of a miscommunication on track, coming off the corner there, getting pulled up off the line. But, well, we're going to see some real aggression as this one goes into its final hours. Guys who need points, well, every place matters.
So your race leader, I do believe, is going to be Jorgensen. He went with the 2-tire call. He's second this time by. Rod Flag got his bonus points, and I think Dan Harrington's going to collect his bonus points and come down to the pit lane as well. The 82 Chevrolet trailing low, and it looks like he will do the same. So we'll reset things roughly like they were before. I did note that a couple of drivers did take 4 tires. They're going to be coming from a little bit further back in the pack. Again, most, I'm not going to say all, but most guys up front decided to go with the 2-tire call, right sides only, but trying to see if I can find the number on the couple of cars that I saw that did end up putting left sides as well. Looks like maybe the 92 with Casey Malone, who was running in 3rd position, decided to go with 4 tires. So you go from 3rd to 19th. He's back down pit road, actually, after taking 4 tires the last time. So not really a fair comparison on what those tires will do. But keep a looking back at the guys maybe 15th, 16th, and so see if those 4 tires are enough to catch them up. Again, typically at plate tracks, tires are not a huge deal. And I think 2 tires should be able to get the job done. Not that I would recommend taking 2 every single time around. But we'll see. I don't think the 4 tires are going to have much of a benefit to the point where it would be worth, you know, a 15-position gamble.
Certainly not yet, at least, of course, with so much this race left to play, Evan. Well, Strategy is important, but you don't gamble this soon without seeing exactly where those chips are going to fall. These guys are going to have to play a lot more of this one before they can choose whether they put their money on black or on red.
Restart going to come. 29 cars on the lead lap, all the way from Jorgensen P1 to Seth the Merchant P29. Ron Flack, who we've been talking about a lot under the yellow, will restart in 28th position. The drivers that are off for the lead lap, Jared Haggerty picked up a lap, getting the lucky dog on this caution, so he goes from 3 laps down to 2 laps down. Austin Coop is 2 laps down and 31st on the pit lane. Paul Servant is at 32nd and 3 laps down on the pit lane as well. Neither of those drivers behind the wheel. And despite it looks like their night may be done, despite the fact that they should still have that one quick repair in the back pocket. We'll let you know if they do get back on track. But the pace car going to duck back down to the way, and the number 88 this time get it down an opportunity. He'll go side by side with the driver who brought us to the green flag earlier tonight, and Ray Rittenauer, who picked up 3 spots on the trip down to the pit lane. They'll come across the start-finish line. Green flag flies, and we're back at it.
We certainly are back across that line. And into turn number 1 here, Jorgensen Jr. written out a second on that front row. Hedrick and Bassini behind them with Buff and Henry. Chaburko back up here, but he's in a sticky situation now, like a couple of other guys here, Evan, in that backup car. This is his last shot.
And you never want that to happen at all, but especially so early in a race, still shy a quarter distance marker, that you have to think that that's going to be weighing on his mind just a little bit as this race continues to age on into the evening. The outside, though, not as good as a restart that we've been seeing for the last couple of weeks. In fact, the outside falling apart like what we saw earlier in the season. Inside to the advantage of 5 car lengths. This time it'll be 6 at the line.
Certainly will be. And well, these guys are good. Wow, single fouled out really fast here at the front. Has everyone been a little bit more patient now? Some guys are in backup cars, but that outside line collapsed fast there, Evan. I believe the 26 of Holloway, last car in that low side there in that main train, racing alongside the number 4 of Garrett Atwell. And this one is really going to collapse down. Big single file running here.
And not all those drivers on the inside restarted on the inside. They picked up very quickly on what was happening and made a move from the outside of the racetrack down to the bottom and kind of jumped ship, as I like to say, and that kind of amplified the problems for the guys to the outside. And there's really no winning scenario here for the 87, who leads the outside because he's only got 2 other guys working with him. They're going to get a run. 3 cars are not as good as 12, but they are going to get a run on the guys on the inside. Guys on the inside constantly feathering the throttle. Guys at the top can keep it down. But the problem is, once they get a run, someone's going to notice that, cut them off, and take the momentum away. Wait for it to happen. It'll do it, though. Keep an eye on the 87 and keep an eye on about the first 4 drivers behind your race leader. Once they get close, I expect maybe somebody like that 22 with Chaburko will be the one to make the move.
Certainly like to see someone like that 22 car make a move. If we want a move, it's going to come from someone like him, of course. Always good for a guaranteed exciting moment here, but that front 4 very powerful cars there, with the 88, the 1, the 71, and the 22 car there, pushing each other pretty hard actually right now. Chaburko's pushing hard. You see him popping out there for air, Evan. He's actually shoving Buff really, really hard, trying to break this front 4 away from the group behind him, as this top 7 really already breaking away here.
Yeah, they're not going to be able to get all the way away. The guys on the back will catch up, but these guys are cooperating, which is very interesting, and I think partly it had to do with just how bad the outside was on the restart. If the outside was bad, common sense, then the outside would have got a run, and I think you would have seen these guys fighting over each other to try to get to the outside first. But because the outside was that bad on the restart, that run never came. So they're just holding it single file. They know it'll come at some point. If you're somebody like the 1, you're in pack racing, in the best spot to be to make a move for the race lead by going to the top side. But oftentimes we'll see guys 2nd, 3rd, 4th in line on the bottom have no interest at all in going to the outside of the racetrack at lap 25. They'll hold the bottom. I've always liked riding on the bottom at a plate track, and you know, the stats might not back it up, but I always feel on the outside of the racetrack, you feel like you're pinned if there's an accident. There's a wall on your right-hand side, and there's typically cars on your left. You can't do a whole lot, so I always like being on the left to get to an escape route down to the inside, and the guys who like to take it easy, get a good spot, hold the bottom, and have no intentions of going anywhere. There's a lot of guys, though, up here inside of this top 7 or so in line on the inside, though, that want to do something, so I don't think that this is going to last for long.
Certainly not with the way things are going right now. The line is looking pretty aggressive here, actually. So, gonna have to be patient and see how this one will play. But it's starting to reform. The group we've had seen breaking away, Evan, like you mentioned there, getting back together. Big run forming on the outside. Those guys go try and mount a charge. As this pack really brought itself forward, you saw what I meant earlier on about the front pack having a lot of cars. They pulled away from the rear. Well, here, the mid pack, if you will, catching up to that front pack of cars because they just have more numbers, more air punched out of the way. And look at the run the outside, making the 7 of Warford there with Henry and the 17 behind him. Justin Levine, the 4 of Atwell, they are coming fast.
And now you're going to see the guys to the inside not be so uniform in line with each other like they were, just a little bit early on in the day. So 22 going to go top. 71 sees that. He'll go top, but a crossover. Checkered wanted nothing to do with it. It'll go back low, I think, just to kind of spite the 71. But I think this will work out for Bob for the end. The 7 going to get to the bumper. Nothing cooking this time. Those guys need to get hooked up off of 4, down the banking, back straight with the best pass in zone. Not going to happen, though. Problem somewhere behind your leaders.
Certainly was there. We'll take a look back and see exactly what happened a little bit further back in your field. See what caused our caution tonight, but things not immediately visible, Evan, as we try and work out what this was. Oh, it's on the back. Going into turn number 1, 49 car. Scott Saunders with problems heading across the line. Oh, he had contact with the back of the 32 car. I'm going to replay for you. Pushing the back of the 32 of DeMerchant, and wow. You'll see when the replay comes up there, pushes the back of DeMerchant, gets him sideways. DeMerchant goes sideways slightly, and he tries to avoid what he thinks is a spinning car. Oh, the 49 takes evasive action and plows into the wall side on there. Big, big hit for Scott Saunders. He's going to a backup car. Field back under yellow.
Yeah, normally we see something like that where you get on somebody's quarter panel and it hooks the 32, and you saw what normally would happen. The 32 started to go up the hill to get split out, but he snapped it back to the inside, and that almost, with the 49 still on the bumper, that almost kind of turned the 49, and Saunders nowhere to go. Pancakes the outside fence, a pretty good link in a battle. Not really a battle, I think more or less they were working with each other, but that exchange for 27th and 28th did not end well, and we end up under the caution flag as race leaders get to catch back up to the pace car. Despite the fact that we just pitted, I expect the top guys back down.
Certainly do. The top guys heading back to pit road for fuel and service, as you'd probably expect. It's always a good time to reset that strategy, Evan. Make sure you're in the right position here to go for a full green flag stint. You don't really want to have to waste laps by not pitting now and coming in before everybody else. It can really cost you.
We will see if they come down pit road once again. 88 let us in last time. They'll follow the yellow lines to the inside, and they are going to come down pit road. So second caution tonight, second trip down pit road, 1/3 distance. But the time we get back green from Talladega, remember on the last one, pole sitter Ray Rittenauer came in about 5th, came out 2nd. He's back in 9th. Let's see what the number 1 pit stall can get him and what the leaders do on tires.
We certainly will see what the number 1 pit stop will get for Ray Rittenauer. Second into his box, he will come here, Evan. Gasman goes in for race fuel, and he's coming up for left side tyres. It seems only at this point in time. He's going to come out a little bit further back, though. Left sides seem to be the call. We had right sides last time by. This time, resetting those lefts.
I think it's the right call. It's not going to be as impressive as the last time, but Ray Rittenauer does pick up a couple of spots courtesy of the number 1 pit stall. He'll be about 5th or 6th coming off of the pit lane. Brandon Checkered, though, down on pit road that time with everybody else. Came into the box and did not take tires. So, 22, maybe gas only. Maybe nothing, but it was a short splash of fuel, and the Motorcraft Ford going to be your race leader. We'll take this opportunity, though, under the caution flag for the second time tonight to throw the yellow for ourselves. We'll take this opportunity to step aside. We will come back to Talladega Superspeedway for the restart in just a few moments. You're watching LSRTV's continuing coverage of the Superspeedway Cup Series and iRacing Live. It is the regular season finale, and the chase grid on the line. We'll be back in a moment. Welcome back live to the Talladega Superspeedway for LSRTV's coverage of the Superspeedway Cup Series at iRacing Live, currently working under the caution flag. And lap number 31 is we get set for a restart off of our second yellow. Thus far, Seth the Merchant, Rod Flying, Brandon Chaburko, Mark Jorgensen, Chris Fassini, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. As we welcome you back to this, the 14th race on this Season 14 Championship. But if you're just tuning in tonight, a lot on the line because it is the last race before the chase. There are 7 different winners so far this season. Those 7 locked in to the top 12 championship that starts next Friday night right here on LSRTV and iRacing Live. But for the guys lower in the bracket, Andrew Berger, a Rod Flag, a Ray Rittenauer, all less than 20 points to the good, to the likes of Jason Altmans and Brandon Cruz-Monsivais tonight, is everything. So lots gone down in the last couple of caution flags, a couple of people that we just listed off with some damage being involved in accidents, Rachel, but plenty of action still to come. We got a restart due up, 62 to go.
Certainly will be, of course, 62 laps remaining in this one. And well, we'll be at the caution now, coming back to green flag very, very soon here. In fact, this time by much sooner than I thought. This time we'll have the lap and we'll go back to the green flag race. Chaburko up there at the front behind the Merchant, who was kind of involved in causing that caution. So interesting situation with him out front, just scribbling his tires up a little bit. Rod Flag there in his Grand Prix up on the outside front row. Jorgensen Jr. back in the second row here, Evan. This one will be an interesting restart, I think.
And I think that got a couple more guys back in this. Obviously, that accident on this most recent one was only one driver. We had a little bit of a bigger wreck that one before, and some guys were still trying to get those cars patched up for the restart. So I actually think we got more cars doubled up for this one than we did on the last one. Still 29, though, officially scored on the lead lap. Coop Servant back in 31st and 32nd, the furthest back of the guys still actively on the racetrack. Pace car back down to the way, though. The Merchant gonna have to hold him for a long while, cycle through to the tri-oval, and head towards the restart box. Green flag flies. We go back underway. 32 complete. Outside place to be.
Outside indeed. Look at that big run there for Rod Flag. That Pontiac Grand Prix going right to the front. Jorgensen Jr. not messing around here. And can he get it clear of Seth the Merchant? Well, it won't be in turns 1 and 2, but can he get a good shove here down the backstretch? This could be what he needs, but the Merchant getting a shove from Chaburko here. 2 mighty powerful steam engines there pushing their loads forwards. Low side's going to win.
Well, the outside doing a lot better than they did on that last one, where it just completely fell apart. And I think it's fair to say that that last one was a little bit of an anomaly based on, again, as we've noted, just how consistent the outside has been. And you have to be aggressive to get it. Don't think that it's just something that happens inside. Going to be the place to be, at least to lead this first lap off for the restart. Seth the Merchant going to get it, a past champion in this Superspeedway Cup Series seasons. Won the championship back in Season 12. That was his second. Also won it in Season 10, but problems up front for the 32, and he's going to spin in front of the field.
Oh, big problems here. This is going to damage Chaburko's backup race car here, of course, as oh, he was in front of him. He might have escaped that one somehow. I have no idea how, but big problems for further back in your pack as big junk, multiple engines blown there as cars go left, right, and center here, Evan. And get a replay.
The 22 on a bumper there, and once you start to go into the corner, you know, the car gets a little bit light. You're pushing, and it turned the 32 sideways. He did a good job of trying to hang on, but again, there's nothing you can really do. Talladega is actually better than a Daytona because you do have a little bit of a transfer zone from the 30-some degrees of banking to the flat, but it still wasn't enough. And again, that could have been a one-car accident if it was back in 27th like the last yellow. Not going to happen tonight, though, up front. That's big issues.
Sunny has big issues, of course, and, well, these things are going to happen here, but getting on the apron, Evan, it's always a problem. We see it. We see it from the newbies. We see it from veterans like these guys. You get 2 wheels down there, you really can't control where the car wants to go.
As noted, some drivers involved in that one involved in their second accident in the night, which is why on that restart, having 29 of 32 who started this race still on the lead lap might have seemed a little bit odd for somebody, thinking that we've had a couple of yellows, couple of accidents so far. However, there is one quick repair available in the Superspeedway Cup Series. So now you got damage. After that, you're going to do this the old school way. You're going to come down to the pit lane, sit around, get damage fixed for however long get it as fixed as you can. This one, a very short green flag stretch. Race leaders have been down the last two. A late move to pit road. Ron Flag is going to pit, though. Not everybody agrees with him.
No, they do not, of course. And we're on Flag on a slightly different strategy to some other guys here, of course, as a few more of those guys do come down pit road behind, but not all of your leaders, so this could shake up the grid.
Those drivers who do come down pit road, with the exception of Flag, we're all outside of the top 15 or so. So what they're going to do is come down, and I think that there's really no reason why you don't take 4 tires. You're already going to lose some spots. I know I was talking about how the 4 tires isn't that big of an advantage, but I think in all fairness, if you're down pit road and you're losing spots, might as well come down, get the tires, and so on and so forth. So not a whole lot, though, get a change up front in this one. Didn't have a lot of time to. However, with the disposal, if you will, of the driver who was leading this race, Checkered going to assume P1.
Certainly could, and that'd be a big advantage to him, of course. He wants to make sure he's in the right position to make this thing happen, but at the same time, he's just got to be a little careful. You know, this car is his last one, and it's gotten close to being a problem for him a few times. Very nearly lost his backup there, of course, so he needs to be careful.
This one obviously took out a lot of big names when it happens up front, and that's kind of boiling over here into this caution period, taking a little bit of a listen in on the driver chat, and there's several guys who are not the biggest fan of each other and have a little bit of a disagreement on what may have happened in that last one. Doesn't take, much more than 45 minutes to get these guys heated up, but I don't think we expect anything less. Not necessarily big track race and short track style, but maybe with short track tempers from time to time.
Yeah, absolutely. Short track temp is always going to be a thing at Talladega, especially with these guys here in the Superspeedway Cup Series, Evan. They are some of the best we see here in plate racing, and boy, do they get heated up when things don't go their way. But the competition is that tight. It's going to happen.
We'll see if the lights go out on top of the pace car this time, and again, all of that has to do with as far as guys being laps down and pit road opening for lap cars and so on and so forth. Lights going to stay on, so at least 2 more times around. So we'll take another quick opportunity to step aside. We'll come back to Talladega in a moment as we get set to go back green. Close it in on the halfway point in tonight's Dega 250. It's Brandon Checkered looking to make up for an encumbered win that happened earlier in the season. He leads the way at lap 37. You're watching LSRTV, the voice of sim racing.
So cool, yeah. Nate, what are you working on at the moment?
So I'm working on the animation for the game. We're working on getting pit crews fully developed, and that involves a lot of moving parts. So I'm going in and making sure that each moving part can dovetail smoothly into the next one, so that when you pull in for a pit stop, it looks like the real thing, as opposed to a bunch of jumbled pieces that suddenly stop and then go and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's so cool, but why aren't you working on the time model? Nothing?
Lights out on top of the iRacing.com official pace car. Restart due up once again. Started this race off with almost 20 laps of green flag action uninterrupted. Since then, about 3-4 yellows have slowed the pace down in this thing significantly. What that does mean, though, is we'll restart 8 laps away for the halfway point. When we get there, we'll take a look at your iRacing Midway race break down the opening 47 or so, and to let you know what's going to come to 47 thereafter to get to our total distance at only 4 laps here tonight from Lincoln, Alabama. Pace car going to go down and away. Cheburko going to assume the race lead. The guys up front did not come down pit road under the caution. The guys towards the back did. Most of them topped off on fuel, good on tires. If this race goes green all the way, maybe that'll be a factor. Not going to be huge, though, to this moment. Car's going to come to the start-finish line, and we go back underway. Second time in a row, top side, beats to the line. Almost contact, though, as Cheburko fights his way back on the inside.
Well, two of our winningest drivers in the series here, Brendan Cheburko, Mark Jorgensen Jr. out front, and well, they definitely both want to compete for this one, as Cheburko side-drafting off Jorgensen Jr. there to try and get himself back ahead here, as well, he gets that early advantage, but these are two of the most aggressive drivers as well. They go for the smallest gaps, and boy, do they make it work, Evan. But look at this big push from the 71, 24, and the 28 gets Jorgensen Jr. out front.
Well, the 88 was begging for his push in turn 2, and it came to 7 and a buff, got to the bumper, and started giving him a shove, helping him out, if you will, to get up into position, and the 88 going to be about a half a car length shy. Not going to do it. Cheburko might actually get it at the line as he fights back on that 4th lane right there inside of that white line. Lane doesn't exist in the corners. Watch, the line goes away. That yellow line actually comes up, and we're back to those 3 lanes painted on the racetrack. So that bottom-most lane in the tri-oval, it's where you want to be, but it's really loose, and if you can feel that definitely when you go right to the tri-oval, just how light those cars get. You got to be careful if you're that one pushing on the bumper, obviously trying to stay in front, but you got to keep an eye. We've had a couple of incidents stemming from something like that.
Certainly can be, and certainly something we see a lot more often than perhaps we want. These guys, well, they need to be a little careful with this one because it could really get them loose. And problems with tri-oval, we've seen them before. Always a big one here, but everyone getting a single file now. A little bit of patience perhaps coming down.
Side by side doesn't start till about 7 or 8 rows back with the 24 machine. Running in line, that's Andrew Berger, who was 9th last time by the start-finish line. And again, separation completely normal, and I would honestly suggest that there's been so many times in the history of the Superspeedway Cup Series. You can look back, 6-7 seasons back to what it was, the Superspeedway Series here on LSRTV. We've had a lot of weird things happen on Friday nights, and some of those are, early in these races, or, somebody in a position where they're running 5th, race has gone green all the way, no pressure, take the P5, qualify for the championship, and go for the win. You wreck it at turn 4, you don't make it to the line, you finish 23rd, and you don't qualify for the championship. That has happened in this race several times in this series' history. You don't want to be that guy, but again, it's always hard to turn down an opening, go for the gap, and try to challenge for the race lead. Not really, what's going to happen on lap 42, but it does go saying that there is some strategy in taking it easy. It's not the most exciting thing to watch, and in all honesty, the drivers really don't have a lot of fun riding around single file. We'll see guys switch out positions and battle on the back straightaway 3-4 times every single lap just to have some fun. When, we come off of a cycle of maybe pit stops and there are only groups of 4 or 5. These guys like to keep entertained sometimes, though, and if there's any night to do it, it would be tonight, and then going forward into the championship, you got to race kind of with your head screwed on straight, and that's something that's easier said than done many a time when it comes to plate racing.
Certainly is, and something I want to make sure they keep in one piece here, of course, as things can be very busy for them on this track. And on the back end, you got this second lane starting to form up once again, Evan, here on 43 of 94. And it's taking its time, but just not quite there yet.
Taking a look down, there is a lot going on. About 17th, that's where that 24 and his friends are. That's out at the top 10, but this lead pack, if that outside lane can get momentum and catch up and do something, then it's going to be the largest lead pack that we've seen all night long. It'll be 25 cars deep. The inside has that about 8-9 car length advantage on the bottom. That some of these guys almost going to form a mutiny. Look like Roger Buff going to be going topside. He will with the Do-SA machine. Justin Levine going to go topside as well. And it'll spread like wildfire. The 88 of Jorgensen thinking about it. And now, watch everybody on the inside try to find a dancing partner as that outside slowly creeping into the top 6 or 7.
Certainly is, and they're moving up fast. We said they would, but as the train gets moving, of course, you see a lot of people pull up and grab hold. Look at this one. Chaburko pulled up there, tried to pull the outside line forwards. Actually, once he pulls back down again, it kind of drops their momentum, so it's a great way to kill a run there. It's not blocking Evan, but he pulls up, drags them forwards, breaks their own momentum by helping them. And when he pulls back down again, it kind of just takes that air away. So they tend to drop back, but it's not helped this time by. Look at this big run here. Jorgensen Jr., the 28, the 71, the 17. All of them shooting past on the top side like they're standing still here.
That was beautifully executed. That's what you thought was going to happen, and it's exactly what we saw. Everybody kind of played chicken with each other, held the bottom. As soon as somebody made the outside work, in this case, Nicholas at 71, and Levine, who made the first move to the outside, 88, jumped right on it. And again, he was thinking about it. Jumped high. Run really wasn't there. Went back low. The guys in the back dropped back a bit, but once they had the momentum, jumped up, took it, went to the race lead. You get the bonus point, you get the pass. It's not going to mean a whole lot at lap 45. It's actually interesting in these races, Rachel, because we see all of this going on. First 2/3 of the race, guys just constantly, you see the 22 in Chaburko. Trying to set the 80 up, maybe go to the inside. He's done this many a time where he tries to walk that guy up and dive low. Not going to make it work this time, but we'll see this. Guys just making passes here and there. 22, he'll go topside past the 88. 88 will do the same thing the next lap. But it's funny, once we get to the final 15, 10 laps of the race, guys stop making moves. And they get single file because now you make a move, it doesn't work, it's a calculated risk. You're going to drop back if it doesn't work, and that move means something. And they kind of play chicken with each other. You'd think, common wisdom, you'd see more passing late. But sometimes at the plate tracks, it's exactly the opposite.
Certainly is. And, well, it's Chaburko making a run now on the outside. A mirror image of what Chaburko, Jorgensen Jr. did a couple of laps ago here, Evan. But huge run for the 22. Going to bring the 28 with him, I think, as he sees the lead going away. He might drop down and abandon that 28 car. But Shane McEachin, worth bringing with him. He wants a cushion over Jorgensen Jr. And he's staying up there to hold on to this one right now. So try to bring a friend with him. That helps a lot more. But no, he will drop down because at the end of the day, it's lose the spot or lose the lead.
In either or, not the preferred course of action. I actually thought the 22 was going to hang it a little bit longer topside, try to bring that DeWalt 28 Toyota down with him. Doesn't happen though. Shane McEachin going to continue to go on the outside, and now we'll see if the 88 does what I was metaphorically describing a little bit earlier, which was past the 22, 22 pass him, see if he can give it back to him. Passini didn't make a move from third. And the 88's thinking about it, but Chaburko's onto him, trying to cross him up. It didn't work. Chaburko tried to do that to Jorgensen a couple of laps ago. Tried to beat him at his own game. The 22, familiar with that trick.
Certainly is. It's one he saw coming from a long way off there, Evan. And here comes a few of them. They're going to pull up there. They're going to pull that group forwards. And Jorgensen Jr. is going to use it as they see lap traffic ahead. Opportunity to strike. Look at the momentum he gained from that. He just goes shooting around Chaburko. Huge run there for that middle line. Absolutely insane push.
The 28 pinching the guys on the inside down. Again, that fourth lane comes into play, and those hash marks at a racetrack kind of mark lanes. These guys don't need that much space to each other, but you see the 88 come up to protect the guys, enter the corner well above those white lines, and you see as we get to the corner, they kind of walk them down to the point where the whole car is inside of those white hash marks. The lane doesn't get wider. It's into the corner. It's a smart move to not pinch. Cars drift up, and that's what happens in contact with one. There they go. Buff gonna get spun down the back straightaway by Chris Piscini. Big junk as the one comes
huge.
back up.
This is our big one, Evan. Oh my gosh. Cars going left, right, and center here as, well, we'll get a replay, but the analysis shows 71 car slams aside there at a one of Piscini, gets them sideways. Piscini gets turned up the track. He takes with him the 97-24, and they just ricochet back across the track, collecting cars all over the place here. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 blown motors there, having big problems here at Talladega.
Thought we might have been okay. The 71 got hooked by the one. I mean, I can't really blame Piscini. Piscini wasn't all the way on the yellow line, but I mean, it's easy to use those lines as a reference point. 71 comes down, and they hit each other in a spot where the one was basically right at his door. If they were door to door, would have bounced off each other, no problem. But the 71 gets turned, and they would have been okay except for the 87. Ray Rittenauer guessed incorrectly, went low, and he actually is the one that hooks the one, comes back up, and that's where things get ugly.
Certainly got ugly there for sure. Evan has
Rittenauer, the final driver, by the way, in that top 12. So big incident here.
Yeah, absolutely huge there. This is definitely shaking things up, and there's some guys here who are, of course, in this for points, in this for wins necessarily. They may not get a chance now. Their backup cars might be used up. They've got damage here. This is going to have ramifications.
He's going to come down pit road with a heavily damaged 87. I believe that meant he took the tow. And for the drivers who survive, back-to-back big ones, they come back down pit road past the halfway point, lap 50. Jorgensen, first driver in, pit stall 7.
Certainly is. We'll keep an eye on Jorgensen Jr., see what he does in this one as he's into his box. Going up for left side tire. Sunoco race fuel down and away. Just fresh lefts there. Jorgensen back out on track. He'll be behind a couple of cars here. Gets out ahead, just ahead of Chaburko, but 82, I think, took tires. We'll have a quick look here. But Dan Harrington, very, very fast pit stop from him. No, he missed his box. He went straight through, Evan.
Yeah, and I thought what he might have done was that intentionally, because I believe we saw him do that earlier where he just drove straight through, but it definitely looks like, based on how he moved on pit road, that he missed the box and drove through, and therefore he'll come back in the next time around. He'll wait, and he'll come back down to the pit lane and get the service done.
Certainly will be, of course, and well, this will, of course, see one of those situations now where we're about the halfway point here, Evan, and, well, a lot to play for. A lot of cars now in real trouble.
So Harrington going to be expected back down to the pit lane. Holloway going to be expected to pit as well. I don't think that he came in at all. So even though, you like to get the bonus points early on in the evening, that strategy of staying out, getting a bonus point here or there, and to some people it may seem very frivolous, to be running 20th, stay out, get the one bonus point, and then drop back to 2050, but maybe think that you want to start moving forward. But somebody like a Daniel Holloway in a position where the points racing's not all that critical at the moment, but if we come down to a 1 or 2 point gap on the transfer spot at the end of the night, then we can't say anything about bonus points. It's an often very overlooked thing at plate tracks because so many people get bonus points as opposed to, intermediate track racing where you got maybe 3-4 dominant drivers who lead laps and, maybe a couple of guys in a second green flag service. It's overlooked at plate tracks, could be critical.
Certainly could be critical, of course, and, well, this is one of those races where every little thing will count, Evan. These guys are really eking after absolutely everything here in track position through those pit stops. Getting pit road right, super important.
With that being noted, though, as we said, as the drivers came down to the pit lane, we are past the halfway point tonight from the Talladega Superspeedway. With that being said, let's take a look at your iRacing Midway race break, brought to you by iRacing, the leading online racing simulation developed from the beginning as a centralized racing and competition service. iRacing organizes, hosts, and officiates races on virtual tracks all around the world. In the fast-paced world of esports, iRacing is a one-stop shop for all things online racing, especially with officially sanctioned action courtesy of NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, World of Outlaws, and Middymore. Your race leader at lap number 52 is the 88 of Mark Jorgensen Jr., joined up by Brandon Chaburko, Shade McKeachin, Ramon Evans, and Jason Altmans. Critically trying to find a spot on the chase grid, needed to make up 14 points. As they run right now, he is in and Rittenauer is out. Rittenauer in that accident runs 27th on the racetrack. Rodney Wofford in the number 6 spot just behind him. Scott Warren runs 7th. Gary Champion at 8th. Corey Henry at 9th. And Casey Malone through the top 10.
Certainly is, and of course going to make things pretty tough for these boys to get this one going without any further trouble, because there's still a lot that could happen in this one, Evan, and we want to make sure that is not what goes down.
A couple of guys trying to get back black flag clears as they cycle everybody through and try to get all of that sorted through. Derek Walker runs 11th, Garrett Atwell 12th, Justin Levine 13th, Rod Flying, Glenn Hendrick, Jared Haggerty, Nathan Davis, Roger Buff, Brandon Monsivice, and Seth the Merchant 19 and 20. Monsivice, though, did just pit, so he will lose a couple of spots through 26 drivers on the lead lap. 21st is Kelly Dahl, Andrew Berger 22nd. Oh, and we're wrecking under yellow. Look out, the 32 to Merchant hangs on. He made contact back here in about 20-something position. Herring 7th and 1 lap down is Ray Rittenauer. He's still in it. Chris Bassini, I believe his night may be done as far as damage. He's 28th. Kenny Holderman's done 29th. Coop's still out there. Austin Coop is 30th, though. He's 9 laps down. And then Saunders and Servant may still be on track, but you're talking 12 and 27 laps down. And at that point, more or less, you're out of this thing. So that's a look top to bottom at your iRacing Midway Race Break. For more information on the wide variety of sim racing possibilities online, you can visit iRacing.com and sign up today for a limited time. If you go to iRacing.com/World of Outlaws, you can take advantage of an exclusive promo code. You can get yourself an iRacing membership for 1 year for less than half the price that it regularly is. Or if you just want to give iRacing a chance, try it out for 3 months, you can get a 3-month membership for less than $5. Again, that's iRacing.com/World of Outlaws, and that is available for a limited time only. That being said, doubled up, coming out of turn 4, Rachel. First restart tonight inside of the halfway point, closing into the end here, 41 to go.
Certainly is going to be that way here, Evan, and will we make it to the end? It's going to be a long run here, but halfway to go. Restart coming up. Pace car goes down to pit road.
Field once again in the hands of the 88. Again, at Daytona, you take off now. You got to hold them at bay just a little bit longer to get to the restart box here from Talladega. The green flag going to drop. Can the inside get the bite this time? Looks like they might. The last 2 times in a row, the outside got it. That time, inside by 7/1,000ths of a second. Jorgensen with the advantage. Bottom is the place to be. Getting up to speed. There's a gap in front and behind the 51. Is somebody going to take it? Yes. Wofford to the inside. Chaburko to the inside. Oddman out. Ramon Evans at a turn 2.
Certainly looks that way at the moment as Ramon Evans getting a good run, but not enough there. He drops back a lot here as the front 5 there going single file. Jorgensen Jr., McKeachin, Chaburko, Altmans, and Wofford there, pulling away nice and cleanly. 76 coming with them. Scott Warren there. Ramon Evans will drop back down again as he drops in front there. Corey Henry and the 20 here of Derek Walker. Things going very single file as well. Chaburko on the apron for some reason. It's very sideways there, getting back up on the track. Not sure what he was planning there.
I think the big thing to note is this restart with 41 laps to go is not going to be enough gas to make it to the end. So at least one more trip down to the pit lane. So while this is starting to close it onto the home stretch, we're not quite there yet to this point. But the restarts have been weird tonight. Some where they stay side by side, 12 rows deep of that action inside of the lead pack, and some where the outside just completely falls off, and this has been the worst so far for the driver's top side. Couple of guys trying to make it work, looking top, the 12 of Corey Henry, the 28 Eric Walker, and once they kind of crack that outside open, everybody's going to jump up there with them, and the outside will be right back, but the outside was non-existent 1 lap off of our restart.
Certainly wasn't at all, as here comes Henry and looks like the 20 of Walker made a 2-car charge here at the outside, moving pretty quickly as they go forwards in this one, and Oh, Jorgensen Jr., McKeachin out front. A little bit of a gap there, but lap traffic on the inside. We'll go past, no problems there. The 6th car, I think that was. Going lap down, Jared Haggerty there. Not going to be his day, but I can't call this one, Evan. It's getting pretty close as always.
Yeah, and again, the moves are going to be more and more important now, like we said. Guys, single file. You're going to want to defend. Start to look for team cars to find each other and try to occupy the inside and the outside of a respective lane. And if they can do that, they'll be able to control a little bit of pace in this thing and really set themselves up, as difficult as that is. If you've got good teammates around you to work out, or if you've just been working with somebody all night, you guys kind of stick together. You've got about 30 more laps or so of that working out. Once we get to 5 laps to go, doesn't matter who your friends are, doesn't matter who your teammates are, you're just going to have to go out there and fight for the win on your lonesome. But again, big championship implications. Jason Altmans runs 4th on track at the moment. He was 14 points behind the final driver on the chase grid, Ray Rittenauer, into tonight. Rittenauer, involved in an accident, is 26th position and 1 lap down after starting on pole. So as they run, Altmans in, Rittenauer out. Keep you updated on both of those as the night continues to go on. That might not even be enough, though, for Altmans. He might have to try to get in front of Rod Flag, too, and Rod Flag is right there in 13th spot, probably still to the good by about 7 or so points. But again, you win. If you are running 8th through 25th in the points and you win, you jump the queue, you get locked in. So again, that changes everything in the points. So take that statistic with Altmans with a grain of salt, but the 51 doing what he needs to do.
Certainly is doing exactly what he has to do here, as well, he's keeping himself in contention, Evan, and so is McKeachin. Can't count either of those guys out, of course. Scott Warren, Ramon Evans there also keeping themselves relevant, as we're seeing some team cars start to form up a little further back. They're going to try and make something happen here, of course, but some guys locked in. They just need to play it safe. I'm still concerned about Cheburko here. He is all over this racetrack, taking strange lines and pushing people pretty hard when it's not hugely necessary.
Well, the 22 Cheburko's having a little bit of fun in 3rd as well, so it kind of takes an option away for the 51 to really work it with him, though. Not sure Altmans really needs to make a move to the top. Again, if the outside comes to him, I'm sure he'll go top side, but other than that, I really don't see a reason, as to why he would make that move, per se. But again, still single file. I thought the outside would come back at this point. Somebody from 5th or 6th would jump to the outside. Everybody would jump at a bandwagon, and we'd have 4 top and 4 high. Not happened. Inside, the place to be. The 7 still working with the 12. I think that 12 at Henry was the first driver to stay topside off of the restart. They're trying. They'll get there eventually, but a lot more spread out than we were off the last restart.
Senior, but look at his push on the outside. 7, 12, and 20. Wofford, Walker, and Henry. They are making a big push forwards here and moving right up the field as Cheburko sees what's in the water and he will go forwards, but Wofford didn't want to push him there as Cheburko pulls up to try and take an elevator ride to the front, and they're going to have to sit behind him, but Jorgensen Jr. says, no thank you, I want to get involved in this one too. You're not going to have my line.
And now, actually, there's more drivers topside than inside. For a moment there were 5 on the top and only 3 on the bottom. Walker, though, fell off the back of the boat, jumped in behind the 76 of Warren, and now it's a fair fight. 4 up, 4 down. Kind of like I thought what we would have been seeing a little bit earlier. Jorgensen, doesn't matter if he's on the inside or the outside, he'll lead the lap once again that time by. But McKeachin in a good spot, I think, with that 28 and the 51. I don't think there's enough cars topside to push that 88 back through, and bad call by Jorgensen. Cheburko leaves him hanging. Here comes the inside now, charging up front. Keep it on the 51 or even the 22 to go up in front of the 88 machine topside.
Guys looking for air there. The 51 drops below the yellow line, just trying to get some air on the nose of that car, cool himself off here. These guys have been pushing pretty hard here on lap 61. We're about 33 to go here. Final third of this motor race, Evan. Laps are ticking by very rapidly right now, and everyone's moving around looking for gaps. 51 decides it's his time to go towards the front and leaves the 28 hanging on the low side. Nothing he can do as yellow flag will fly. Altman's shown as your leader.
Oh, and they scatter up front as the caution flag came out. Things got a little bit dicey, with Brandon Cheburko getting a little bit loose off of the back of the 88 machine as he lifted and had a little bit of contact there. Nothing happens up front. Caution flag is behind the guys up front, and It's issues with Paul Servant, the number 3 Oreo Chevrolet. Torn up at a turn 4, and
71
something happened in front of him. Yeah, 3 was the innocent victim in this one, and he got hip checked pretty good by Roger Buff, who was a race leader earlier in this thing, got stuck back in traffic and looked like he had some help.
Well, he got tapped from behind. We're going to replay up here now. 71 car. He got tapped by the 99 from the rear. Coming off turn 4. Punched him down to the inside line. He spins. He holds it. He comes back up the track and absolutely pile drives Paul Servant into the outside wall. That was a trick shot in pool if ever I saw one. I've never seen someone try and pop the black, the white, and the stripes all at once.
Interesting that now 2 cautions so far to this point have actually happened well behind the battle for the race lead. One thing that is important, though, is if you pit now, you're going to be good on fuel to the end of this thing. 32 laps to go. It'll be a stretch. You're going to have to save under the caution, but I definitely think it's doable, and that's why everybody coming down lap 62.
Certainly, we'll see what they're going to do for their tyre choices. We'll take a look at Jorgensen Jr. again, one of our strategy masters in this series. What is he going to go for in this one, Evan? Definitely going to top off on Sunoco race fuel. I'm not seeing him jack up. He is. He goes up for right side tires. He had left last time by. Will it just be right call? It is just right side tires. And the race off pit road has Altman's just making it across the line first.
Yeah, the 51 decided to go with just left side tires. Levine going to come off of pit road in second. Jorgensen, McEachin, Walker, Wofford, the first couple drivers off of the pit lane. But in front of all of that, Brandon Chaburko. And number 22 Ford, second time tonight. He didn't need tires, apparently. Fuel only for that 22 Ford.
Certainly is. And Evan, let's take a look at the points and how things stand where we are.
Yeah, again, into tonight, 13 races complete. And tonight, the final one to get into the chase for the championship. The top 12 going to make it into the round of 12. And a win and you're in is how it's been all season long. So, Mark Jorgensen Jr., 3 wins. Rodney Wofford and Brandon Chaburko with 2 wins. And then Chris Passini, Shane McEachin, Frank Basili, and Eric Walker with 1 win. Those drivers are locked in. It doesn't matter what happens to them tonight. They will be a part of that chase grid come next Friday night. But the available points position is going to be open to guys who don't have wins, and the highest in the championship without a win. Corey Henry, more than likely good on points. In fact, I think mathematically locked into tonight. He's the 8th driver on the chase grid. And then you got Paul Servant, Andrew Berger, Rod Flag, and Ray Rittenauer. But that's where things get dicey. Daniel Harrington's a little bit too far back to, I think, really have to worry. Paul Servant, I think, is far enough ahead that he really doesn't have to worry, although he was involved in an incident, so we'll keep an eye on him. But Berger, Flag, Rittenauer, Riot, and Monsivice, I think, are the drivers that you really have to look at. And again, we've noted Rittenauer got stuck a lap down after being involved in an accident. The big news here is this caution gets him back on the lead lap. That is bad news for Jason Altmans, who's running second, and at the moment would take that final transfer spot away from him because now he knows Rittenauer is going to start coming back at him.
Certainly is, and we'll have to see how this one will unfold, Evan, because well, things are getting close to the end here. 30 to go at the moment, and time is just running out.
I know that it was a very low chance that Brandon Chaburko would have come back down at the pit lane, but I think kind of official now that he will not. So it'll be Chaburko, Altmans, Levine, Berger, McEachin, your top 5, and impressively enough, 26 drivers, Rachel, still scored on the lead lap. In fact, all but 1 of the cars that are still on track are on the lead lap. 27 active cars. Only Jared Haggerty, 27th and 4 laps down, is not on track.
Certainly is. So it's definitely going to be a tricky situation for these guys to make sure they keep themselves in one place, of course. But it's going to be exciting to see how this one unfolds. Usual suspects, of course, always up there. And I've got to give my money here on Altmans. He's been looking very strong in this one. Levine has been a quiet riot sitting back here waiting for an opportunity. 24 of Berger can't be counted out, but McEachin has been very, very fast. He's in an opportune position in 5th.
Ray Rittenauer, who we just noted, got back to the lead lap, came down pit road, took tires under the caution of flying, so that may give him some sort of, not an advantage, but a little bit of an upper hand in trying to close it on Jason Altmans, who runs in second. The 51 was down pit road. Chaburko in front of him decided to go no tires. The 51 did take left sides. which is why he ended up second and not first. So just something to keep in mind. A long way to go. Altman's, if he were to stay in P2, then that means that Ray Rittenauer would have to finish 16th or better to be able to keep on to that final transfer position. Well, he runs right now at about 25th. He has to make up 9 positions. Not necessarily impossible, but he does have damage, and how much that affects him, I think, is going to be the critical decider maker and really figuring out if it'll work out or not.
Certainly is, and we'll have to see if this one unfolds. Chaburko looking strong at the moment. The bump dropped the pace car there, coming through turn number 2 here. I'm really not sure how this is going to unfold, because we're in a situation now where laps are counting down, and a couple more cautions. This could really change the shape of this one, and it's going to get tight at the front. So anything that happens, Evan, it's going to involve pretty much the entire field here. Everyone's got to go now, and we are running out of laps. If you want to make a move, you've got to be up here.
I think it's in part very miraculous, maybe the word, that we've had 2 relatively big accidents tonight, and there's still 25 cars out there. So I'm sure there's a lot of people who have used up that quick fix, and even those who had used up that quick fix and then got damaged that are kind of out there with cars that are patched together. They'll probably be hanging out outside the top 10, maybe can hang around 15th, 16th or so outside of the top 20. But there's a lot of guys now just trying to kind of limp the next 29 laps.
Certainly are, of course, and well, it's going to be a long way to go, but a short amount of time to do it. These guys are best in the business, Evan, when it comes to super speedway racing, and you know, this is how hard they're racing that we have these little incidents happen. They are really pushing this one to the limit, and well, the laps are really disappearing here. This is our last real 30 laps now of the season, the regular season, if we call it that, before the chase, and well, we've got favourites, of course, and I've got to say, Jorgensen Jr. heading into the chase, he is looking like an absolute top contender and the man to beat.
Based on the overall trends of how these races tend to go, and based on how tonight's been, the stats show we will not take the next 28 laps once we come back around for the restart under green and uninterrupted, but just something to note. That you know, this could be one of, if not the final restart on the night. 66 laps going to be complete. It'll be 28 to go. Chaburko, Altmans, Levine, McKeaton, and Jorgensen, your top 5. Walker, Wofford, Warren, Henry, and Atwell going to be at the top 10 in this one. Keep an eye on, maybe not necessarily Altman's. I think he'll end up about 2nd or 3rd off of the restart, but take a look at the guys 3rd, 4th, 5th in line on the outside. See if they stay on the top on the restart or if they go down to the inside. That'll kind of dictate who wins and loses on this.
Certainly will be, of course. We'll have to see if that one will go the way we expect. Going to be going back to green, I think, Evan, this time by. So Chaburko, Altman's the front row. It's going to get hairy.
Yeah, taking a look, Harrington, Champion, Thiel, and Rittenauer, the guys all the way at the back, don't actually look that beat up. So they're going to try to catch up. You don't necessarily, by the way, have to have a perfect car to win at Talladega. It's funny that the most aerodynamically sensitive oval on the surface is one that we often talk about, how you can bring a beaten and battered car home. I think that you can take just about as much damage at a plate track and be good as you can at a short track and get home. But you need the draft. The guys up front, talking about spacing, talking about aggressiveness, talking about how much these moves now are going to be calculated. This is the home stretch. You don't need to come back down pit road. You are good on fuel to the end. Circumstances depending, they will not come back down. Green flag with 28 laps to go, and it's Altman's on the outside, half a car.
Certainly is, and a good jump by him, with Shane McKeaton giving him a big shove here at the start, but you got 2 powerhouses in the bottom, the 22 and the 88 down there pushing hard as this outside line tries to hold on, but can't quite make it. 3 wide back at the bottom end of your top 20 there as the 26 goes backwards. Daniel Holloway dropping back in line. Single foul spreads out, bit of a shootout for the front now. As look at that, Levine goes to the outside front row. But now you got the 22 and the 88 lined up. Can they hold on to it on the bottom side, Evan?
There's a lot of beating and bang. Look at the 17, the 51, and the 28. A lot of contact. on the outside of the racetrack, but they're really pinching that whole outside line. Had about 3/4 of their cars on the inside of the white line in the corner, and that's kind of how you can compare lap 7 to lap 67. Is those guys are going to start to pinch more and more, they're going to start to push more and more, and that just happens to lead to more and more incidents and more caution flags. It's just how these things work. But how is this going to play out? The 51 no longer working with Levine, the 17 going to be left out to dry, the 28 is Shane McKeach in a life raft about 2-3 car lengths behind.
Certainly is. Levine dropping back on the outside there. Nothing much to hold him up, as also with him is McKeach in there. Out front, Chaburko, Jorgensen Jr., Levine, Wofford. Not Levine anymore, sorry, actually Wofford. Henry, Altmans, and the 92 there of Malone bringing himself forward to make himself important here right now. Seth the Merchant also up front here, Evan. He's getting himself where it counts, when it counts.
That's all that matters. You can, we can talk all night about somebody up front. They can lead, 30 some odd laps. You can get the bonus points and all that. You can qualify pole, but you don't win the race. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter where you started from. Brandon Chaburko, who has seemingly been up here all night long, started 21st position. Look at somebody like a Scott Warren, who started 29th. He runs in 10th. Rod Flag, we kind of questioned on that hanging back strategy, defending a 17-point gap to a cutoff spot to chase into tonight. Well, he's up. Looks like 27, well, 17 positions total, and in 13th at the moment. So all of those people that have been hanging back a couple of seconds and out of the lead pack, they're now in this thing, and they've got to commit to sticking with it.
Yeah, they certainly do have to commit right now, and it's going to be interesting to see how this one unfolds. Look at that, Jorgensen Jr. making a move on his own on the outside there. This is how much he can play that draft. He will need help if he wants to make something happen here, and McKeachin is coming on the backside, but look at that, poor old Jorgensen Jr. dropping back. Cannot compete with a whole line of cars will drop it in front of the 92 Malone. And that kind of leaves McKeachin out there on his own on the outside. Unfortunate for him, but we'll be joined by the 4 of Atwell from behind here as they're going to try and move forwards. And not going to happen just yet. Single files looking at the way it's going. 24 to go.
And I think that the 88 kind of got, tricked on that one. He got a big hit from the 7, went to the outside, and 7 just didn't go with it. It could have been a lot worse. Jorgensen is able to find the spotted line in the number 5 spot in front of Casey Malone, somebody who has been hanging out, in and around the top 10, started 11th, runs in 6th the last time by, but again, continuing to notice that on these late race restarts, the inside place to be, single file, everybody trying to conserve for the end of the run. And again, it's almost like a high-speed game of chicken, or a high-stakes game of chess. Contact for the race lead. How about that one? The 22 loosened up at a quarter number 2, and the 7 gonna go to the race lead now.
Oh, wrecking! Big wreck behind them, though. It's going to be happening in turn number 3 here, Evan. And we'll try and get what happened. It was starting kind of towards the back end of your mid-pack here. I think the 54... Brandon Cruz Monsivice was near this one, 76 car. We'll take a quick look. It was. Monsivice there gets into the back of the 76 of Scott Warren, puts him up, puts him sideways, hits him a second time. The 2 go round. Big junk for the back of your pack here. A lot of cars involved in this one, and caution with 23 to go.
Well, I just noted how good Scott Warren was doing coming from 29th, but he did have a little bit of back-end damage and probably made pushing him a little bit more difficult. That's a tough break for Monsivice. Wasn't in where he needed to be, but he came into tonight 18 points out of a transfer spot and was doing a good job of working his way up to the top 10. He being involved in this accident surely basically takes away any final hopes he had of sneaking into a transfer spot, and it's when the 76 came back up on track is when things really got out of hand, and probably half a dozen cars get pretty well junked in that one off in turn 3.
Absolutely, you get that effect, of course, Evan, when cars scatter for the initial spin. You see a car going one way, cars take evasive action in a different direction, and once you make a move for these cars, very hard to change direction a second time, so as soon as the car comes around, starts coming back up the track, you got a whole kind of cat amongst the pigeons reaction where everyone tries to move again. But because they've already taken evasive action, the car's weight transfer is over, they try and turn, back end gets loose, they spin out, and it all just goes worse and worse.
So we mentioned that on the last one, you'd have enough fuel to make it to the end. It might be to benefit of saving a little bit of gas here and there under the yellow. Well, drivers back down pit road. They're going to get, I think, primarily come down, top off on fuel. The 7 to Wofford, fuel only. The 20 machine behind him with Derek Walker, fuel only. So these guys wanting to play it safe. And again, oftentimes you can make that pit stop, as the last one before this was about 33 to go, a little bit shy of your number, because you can bank on getting the caution flags to save and so on and so forth. However, with that being said, I think that these guys didn't want to risk banking on a caution, not getting one. So this yellow, I think it opened up a perfect opportunity for them to come down, just take the fuel. That way there's absolutely no doubt.
Certainly is, of course. Everyone in for pit stops there, taking their final stops, we think, at this stage. They can, of course, make it to the end from here, so anything extra is tyres. But do you choose to stay out? Are tyres that important, Evan? I'll take a quick look at what we had from Cheburko, of course. Most people took rights last time by. And for most cars, no, Cheburko was fuel only there, so gaining some spots at this stage.
And a lot of drivers, though, stayed out in that one. The first guys off of pit road were scored about 15th position that time by the start finish line. Inside of what's going to be 20 laps to go, and we drop the green flag again for what could be one more restart tonight at Talladega 250. We'll take this opportunity to step aside, but we'll go LSRTV non-stop so you don't miss the moment of the action. Seth the Merchant, P1, your race leader at Talladega. You're watching the Superspeedway Cup Series on LSRTV and iRacing Live.
Get ready, going green. Green, green, green!
The NASCAR Peak Anniversary Series, powered by iRacing, is the premier NASCAR esports series featuring the cars and tracks from the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series. The 2016 campaign saw a return to the top of the mountain by Ray Alfalla as a 3-time NASCAR World Champion. The march to that championship was not easy, though, despite the fact that Ray Alfalla took home the most points in series history. It just also happened to be the tightest championship fight we had ever seen. These guys are set for the 2017 campaign, and as it has been for the 7 years prior, it is no longer going to be a straight shot to the championship. We are going to see the biggest change in this championship picture in series history, as for the first time ever, there will be a chase for the championship. We're going to go into the Homestead Miami Speedway at the end of the season with the 4 best oval sim racing drivers in the world absolutely tied in the championship. You just got to beat the other 3 guys out, and you will become an official NASCAR champion. You're going to get yourself a NASCAR championship ring, and of course, $10,000. These are the iRacing Esport World Championships, the pinnacle of sim racing competition. You can catch it all season long, live coverage on iRacing.com/live. Field get around into turn number 4 this time. Eyes set on the flag stand. The pace car ducks off and away. Is this one going to be the final restart on the night? 75 laps complete from Talladega. Only 19 left to go. DeMerchant, McEachin side by side in front of 12, 13 rows of cars on the lead lap. American Ethanol green flag waves as we go back underway. Inside with a good jump, but DeMerchant no help to 1.
Certainly no help for the merchant there. And as 28 gets a push from the 24 and the 17, 28 will pull down. McEachin drops the low side. Going to give a big hand here to Seth the merchant. His car's under the apron. They don't lose. One of them's Altman's. And Corey Henry manages to collect himself, but Altman's takes a long time to collect that one up. But he will stay facing forwards here. That could have been a huge disaster this early with everyone bunched up, but replay up for you there.
Yeah. The 51 was just second. He was just in a transfer spot. That is going to put him behind Ray Rittenauer and now outside looking in the live points once again. So that shows you just how quickly things can change. Better that he obviously saved it. He didn't junk the car, but that was a really costly thing to happen for him.
He lost a lot of spots there, Evan. That's going to really cost him in this one. He needs another caution to make this one work. Hopefully stay out and play some strategy game, but look at this, Andrew Berger up there, and Justin Levine on the outside with the 18 car. Gary Champion. New names up here at the front of today's race is behind them. McEachin and the likes of Jorgensen Jr. and also Chaburko trying to work their way back to the front here, but that's a lot of cars to get through.
24-17, they're the guys right now working up at the front of the field, only 2 on the outside of the racetrack, but take a look at the guys up here. Seth the Merchant, I don't think he is in a position that he would be eligible to qualify for the championship simply based on the amount of starts that we've seen out of him. I'll try to confirm that, but again, a limited schedule. No, Seth the Merchant came in tonight 37th overall. You have to be top 25 for a win to count. So if he wins, it is a 8th race winner on the season, but it will not give him a chase berth. We will still have 8th through 12th in the championship determined by points, and a record once again up front and big problems.
Including Jorgensen Jr. involved in that one as the 17 of line turned Berger. Yes, Rod Flag also involved there. He's got no backup car left, of course. But, whoa, Levine turning Berger there involves the 88, and I think the 22 car just somehow... Oh, no, he's damaged, Evan. The 22 has body damage, not heavy, but he has got some. Rod Flag, huge damage there. This changes everything.
And stuff like this, when it happens up at the front of the field, you have to expect that it's going to take out, guys battling for the race lead and therefore some of the top runners, but especially when it happens up front and it happens late. Because Rod Flag, somebody who, again, we criticized for hanging too far back earlier in this race, was finally making his way to the front like we knew he had to, like he knew that he had to, and like the plan was all along. And it gets into an accident like that, and now on the defensive, and with the situation that Rittenauer has had tonight, Rittenauer picking things back up to go to 8th. Flag in the live points drops down to 12th in that final transfer spot, and he has to finish 17 spots in front of Jason Opens, and last time by, he was only in front of him by 8. So again, that's still a 12 position buffer, but any time there's any doubt, it's not a good thing. The only benefit here, I think, is that, Rachel, there's less drivers on track, not drastically, 24 compared to the 32 we started with, but you can only lose so many positions at this point in 17 spots, so it'd be a lot when you consider there's only 24 on the lead lap right now, but it's always a possibility, and back-to-back incidents. Flag involved in the accident that brought out the yellow, but before that one, Jason Oatman's involved in the incident there where he was able to hang on, costing both those drivers dearly.
Certainly did cost them very, very dearly, Evan. Everyone getting themselves back organized here. A lot of cars who are on backup machinery that are now going to be in serious problems. They might be able to keep up, but they're not in contention now. Look at our front runners here. The McKeechan, the Merchant, Monster Vice, and also Basila the third here. The 18, the 22 is damaged. 92, 12, and 20. This is a big shakeup here. And some big names are really in trouble. Mark Jorgensen Jr., well, he's getting back up to speed. His car is okay. He has a backup, of course, but, well, it's a long way back in the field, so that could be a trouble for him.
Amazing how in these races, obviously, and we say it every week in a week out, not just, with the Superspeedway Cup Series, we'll talk about it on, Wednesday nights with short track racing. We'll talk about it on Monday nights with, RSR Full Throttle Cup Series action. That races just get caution flags late. That's just the trends. But they take significant chunks, not only time-wise, because it takes, 2 minutes to do a lap of a yellow here at Talladega, but it takes now very significant chunks out of what's left in this race. Because you got to go through, the cycle of pit stops. And a lot of races that are 2 hours long on a 1.5 mile track are, 100 some odd laps, 150, 167, whatever that number ends up being. If you get a 4-lap caution flag period, it's not a whole lot in the grand scheme of things, but in an 90 or so lap race, you lose 4 or 5 laps here, you lose it 7 or 8 times if you get a lot of yellows. It's a good portion of the race that's under caution, especially late. I'm sure Seth the Merchant doesn't mind it. Shane McKeechan might not even mind it, although the guys inside the top 5 would like to fight for the win. But the people who really struggle in this scenario are the guys just outside the top 10, because they need every little bit of these 14 laps to go as we come by the line this time to get into the battle, and they can't do anything under the caution, obviously.
Yeah, certainly not, and that's always going to be a real trouble for them, of course, as getting themselves back with limited laps is going to be an even bigger prospect here, and that'll be one they'll have to keep an eye on here. You got to move fast now if you want anything of this.
Looks like Andrew Berger going to have the opportunity to get back to the lead lap on this caution flag. He was battling up in 4th spot, got turned again, and was pretty heavily into the inside fence. It looked like he might have been at risk to losing his lead lap status, and we'll let you know if he ends up on the lead lap, but I think the 24 is going to be okay. He is somebody who, obviously, with the damage still on that car, used up their quick fix earlier in the night, and now has a constant in and out, treating the pit lane as a drive-through, coming in every single time by trying to get that damage fixed. And when the pace car round's 4, you got to get out and get going so that you don't obviously lose your lead lap status. It's not going to be a fun way to close this thing out. But again, inside of 14 laps to go. The good news is, obviously, every single caution flag brings you 4 laps, 5 laps closer to the end of this race. You can only have so much happen in about a 12, 13 lap window whenever this restart comes. As we always know, and for those who tune in every Friday night, you know that at iRacing there is no green-white checker and there is no overtime system. So if a yellow comes out with less than 5 laps to go, we don't have time to cycle through caution flag. This race will end under the caution flag. We've got 94 laps on tab, no more, no less. So if we get a yellow inside of that, this race ends at a yellow. But if we get a restart here, you have time for a quick caution. That would probably put us right on the brink, though. There's about 6 or so laps to go. If you restart with 6 laps to go, you got a lot higher chance of this race in under yellow than if you restart with 3 or 2 laps to go. Because those first 1 or 2 laps, the draft isn't a huge factor because these guys are just trying to get up to speed. After that, though, once you're up to speed and you're inside of 10 laps to go, don't expect anybody to play nice.
Absolutely not, Evan. And while playing nice is what they've not been doing all race long, this is kill or be killed territory. This is these guys fighting now for their survival, getting into the chase, staying in a chase eligible spot, and they are going at it with gusto. It's going to be a tricky one to the end here. There's some damaged cars in the mix who absolutely have to get points, and are they going to make risky moves to keep themselves in contention? Keep this thing largely under caution, we'll have to see. But, well, time is definitely running out. We're on, I believe, 12 laps to go. This is not much. If we get another caution, we have half that distance.
Yeah, and keep an eye on guys like Harrington and Henry, Walker, Rittenauer, Malone, Davis, and Atwell. The guys who aren't the guys up front, who aren't the, the guys who rake in double-digit career wins in this series, and the guys who aren't in the top 5, because the top 5 can make a play for the race lead at any moment. But if we get side by side, and that's a big if, because a lot of these restarts have been strung out single file for a couple of laps as people try to get things up to speed and kind of get themselves situated with the situation. But if we go double file, the guys outside the top 10, they're stuck. They can't go anywhere. There's no lane to advance their position. Then they might start thinking a little bit crazy. Think about, let's maybe try out a third lane. It is Talladega. It is difficult to do, but it is much more possible here than it is at Daytona, which we will be at in 2 weeks' time for the second race of the opening round of the championship. So let's see how this one plays out. We'll do it one more time, maybe with 82 laps now complete from Lincoln, Alabama. It's going to be Seth the Merchant. He's going to put the 32 back in victory lane. American ethanol green flag flies, and we go back underway.
We send a big push on the outside. Huge effort there by those guys. There's even damage 22 of Chaburko, pushing hard, but just can't keep himself hooked up there. Maybe not going to have the speed. He might be okay in traffic. We'll have to see how this one plays out. The 28 getting a good push now by Basilio the third there. Makichin edging out over the Merchant for the front row here. Can he get clear? If he does, he will pull down, I guarantee it. Is he going to try and pull Basilio the third with him here? As the two of them, it looks like they're going to get clear here, Evan. And they should be able to pull down. They do. Beautifully executed two-car move.
Yeah, well done. That Ani Ford didn't have much time or space to spare, but he just was able to slice down in front of the 32 before they went off to quarter 3, and they go to 1-2 on track. Seth the Merchant now rides in third, this time by 11 laps to go, and that front little breakaway is really nothing to be all too concerned about. The rest of the pack is going to swallow these guys up. Chaburko, though, in the 22 is leading the outside. He's got damage, so is he hurting the outside?
Absolutely. Look at that car. It's dropping back. He cannot hold. Look how hard he's having to side draft here to try and keep himself in contention. A little bit of damage here, Evan. It's worth a couple of miles an hour, and when you're in the draft, you can compensate if the damage is obscured by the car in front. When you're the lead car in that group, he desperately needs someone to pull out and try and pull this outside line. Otherwise, he is going backwards, as is the entire outside lane.
And drop the anchor. It's just not working for the 22. The draft is a great equalizer.
Oh, 12 to the inside. He's coming up the track. No, problems. Red flag is done.
Flag will fly.
It looked like Corey Henry there. We'll try and get you a replay of what happens here, but Corey Henry there. Garrett Atwell pushing him. Atwell catches him again. We've seen this so many times, Evan. The 4 car catches the back corner of the 12, pushing him out of turn number 4. Spins him to the infield, and unfortunately he can't hold it. He comes back up again and nails. No, he actually doesn't hit anybody. If everyone had stayed straight there, nothing would have happened. But Rod Flag takes evasive actions, as does Bassini. Flag hits, I believe, the 38 car. They're in the outside wall. Big problems.
And the 12 obviously made a little bit of an aggressive move to come down on the 4, but I think that the 4 really wasn't a big fan of that, and instead of lifting, he hit him in the back end to deliver a message, and he hooked him. So, you could kind of look at both drivers in that one, and again, Henry snapped up. Rod Flag tried to move up, and like when a car catches you off at a freeway, sometimes it's a little bit better to hit that car than swerve into the next lane and take everybody else out. The 10 just, it's a knee-jerk reaction. Somebody's spinning in front of you. You got to find a way out, and you're not necessarily checking your mirrors before you make a move like that, and especially when that outside lane was coming. They were almost 3 wide considering just how high the 26 and the 36 were, and just nicked the 34. They ended up at a fence, and Rod Flag, his championship hopes may have ended with that one. Not only hit once, but also collected by the 99 Kelly Dahl. That is great news, though, for Jason Altmans, who runs in 11th, needed to beat Rod Flag by 17 spots on track. Rod Flag has fallen to 23rd. Altmans is 11th. He needs 5 more positions to pick up.
Absolutely, and I've got to give it to Corey Henry there. He kept it down as hard as he could there. You saw him spin the car back again as he got up the track, and to his credit, he would have kept it out of the traffic if they hadn't reacted like that, Evan. But Corey Henry there, incredible car control, driving that thing through the wreck there. Got to be one of the biggest saves of the race because he hit nothing in that one. His car is in one piece after what must have been a terrifying ride, but again, like you said, a reaction that in hindsight wasn't needed, but when you're in the racing seat, you can't see that. You just see a car coming up. You cannot account for it.
It's just not realistic to, to have somebody spin it out on the apron and to say, don't swerve out of the way. You just do it. And sometimes it works. It's a hold your breath moment. You hang on. We've had a couple of those tonight. Then sometimes it ends like it did that time, where it just really doesn't end very well. And what this is going to do now, again, as we were kind of breaking down with 11 laps to go, is it's going to put us right on the verge of that 5 lap to go make or break spot in this race. Going to go green with maybe 6-7 laps to go. If we get a quick caution, you can have another 1 or 2 lap shootout. But the odds, I think, you're almost 4 times, just based on, seeing these races for so long here, 4 times or so more likely to have a race end under yellow when the last restarts at 6 or 7 to go than it would be if it's at 3 or 4 to go, because it's just too much time. I can't tell you that I don't think we've gone 7 or so laps of green flag in the last, 30 laps total of action. So it's a tricky spot. You want the race to finish in the green. We saw a fantastic finish 2 weeks ago that on the iRacing scoring system was showed as a tie because it only goes to the 1/10,000th of a second. And we love those finishes. But I think realistically here, if you're Shane McKeachin, you have to expect that this race is going to end under yellow, and you have to make that car very wide. Nobody needs to go into this restart planning on making a move for the race win at lap number 94. You got to go for it right now. Caution could come at any moment. When that comes out, whoever's got a nose in front wins. That's all to it. So no setting it up. You just got to go for it.
Yeah, absolutely, Evan. And they're going to have to do this. And unfortunately, it's going to produce the caution we're expecting. It's a catch-22. You must race as though the caution is about to come out. But if you do so, it will cause the caution. So unfortunately, this is going to end up with our race ending as it will. It does mean, though, I think we are going to see a first-time winner, and somebody will lock themselves in here. Our top 5, McKeachin, Basila III, DeMerchant, Monsivice, and Champion. None of them have won so far. This is a win and you're in for these guys.
Yeah, these guys trying to do something. Monsivice, somebody who, interestingly enough, we had just talked to him, or not talked to him, but talked about him, Rachel, a couple laps ago when he got kind of punted in turn 3. And said that old kind of but killed him. You can see the remnants of that contact. He's got damage on the back end. He's got damage on the right side. I don't think Basilia and DeMerchant are going to take it easy on him because the 94 with the win, he's locked in, and the 32, not top 25, a win wouldn't mean anything. So a win means a lot more for the 54 than those two. I don't think they're going to say, oh, well, in that case, have it. But I think that Monsivice, because of that, might have that a little bit extra and might just want it more. Make that move. Get the job done. And well, the one way to make sure that you don't go out there, try to get points and close your eyes and hope that the points end up in your favor once they get updated 5 minutes after the checkered flag. There's one way to make sure that you know, and that is to win the race. Keep it down to 54. He's got damage, which really has hurt Chaburko here late. But he's going to be behind McKeachin. You never know what might happen.
For a late run to the line, it's all in the 54's hands here, Evan. I mean, he's starting in one of the best spots, of course. I think he's still good to push here. And that's exactly where he's going to be. He's going to be second car on the outside line. That means he is set up perfectly here to push Frank Basila III, who has a great race car here. As he can see the leader best. You can see the leader from that 4th spot so well. You can guess when they go. You can give a push to the guy who's first on the outside line. You can make sure the outside line moves well. Monsivice is a very experienced driver. We're going to see just that from him, but this is going to be the vital restart here.
Lights on a pace car should be off this next time around. It'll mean that we'll be working lap number 89. We will take lap number 90 at that point for the green flag, and it would be a 5 lap to go restart. So, may have no option but to say that when we go back green, the next flag, whether it be a yellow or a checker, would end this thing, because that'll put us right now. If you get the wreck coming to the line, we've seen that happen before. Then the pace car wouldn't stop. The field would group up behind the pace car. And at that point, that we might get a 1-lap shootout. But once they get off the turns 1 and 2, and if a caution were to come out, we would loop back around the track to catch the pace car, as opposed to waiting for the pace car. That's when you know inside of 5 laps to go, we're not going to have enough time to do a cycle to pit surface. So we all just kind of sit around and wait. Remember, we talked about pit stops at about 33 laps to go and that you'd be able to make it to that point on saving. There's a couple of guys still saving, and they should make it, but it is tight, and these caution flag laps are helping them out. But a lot of people came down on the subsequent caution at about 24 to go, topped off on fuel. They are good, but keep an eye on guys like the 54 and the 32. It might be tight coming to the end of this one.
Certainly is. I think some of these guys need this to end under caution. They may not have enough fuel to go 5 green laps here at the end. I think we've just been told keep an eye on the 32 and the 54. They've been staying out here, so these guys super close on fuel. Makes them light, makes them fast, but at the same time, downside of being low on fuel here, Evan, is when you are low on fuel, I mean, you set a car up for Superspeedway to have the back end down in the ground. You want that spoiler out of the air. When you're really low on gas, you're actually slower because that spoiler's up in the airflow as the back end comes up, and that means you're dragging more air. So expect the guys with a bit more fuel to actually be a little faster, like the 28 and the 94.
So this is going to be a restart with 5 laps to go from Talladega, which is commonly referred to as the point of no return. Shane McKeechin and Frank Basilia going to make up row number 1. Seth the Merchant, Brandon Cruz, Monsivice on row number 2. Gary Champion, Dan Harrington, row 3. You got Derek Walker and Casey Malone back on row number 4. Brandon Chiburko, Garrett Atwell, row number 5. There are 10 other drivers scored on the lead lap, first position through 20th. Only one of them is going to be able to get the job done, and there's only a handful, which a win would get them into the championship. Not only would that affect your spot in this championship, but you would knock somebody in right now on points out if you were to get a win and get on the chase grid as the 8th different winner on this season 14 championship. Whatever the scenario ends up being, we are going to find out right here and right now. The pace car is going to duck back down and away for what is most likely going to be the final time tonight, and it's going to leave the field in the hands of the 28 Toyota of Shane McKeechin. One more time tonight from Talladega. American Ethanol, green flag flies. We're back underway.
Big Constantine on the outside line there as everybody gets restarted here, Evan. Big shoves, and it's not looking strong for the outside. They did Constantine hard there, didn't get the run they wanted. 28 and the 32 pushing hard down the bottom side. 54 drops down low. He's going to hook in with this train. Kills momentum for the outside as Basilia the third has no help, but Monsivice doing what he has to do here to get himself forwards. If this comes down to a line, oh, bit of a move up there by the 18. Nearly turned the 94. That would have ended our race, but look at it, it's going to split him 3 wide. 94, nobody wants to help him here.
The 82, though, I think is going to get stuck topside. Not sure anybody's going to go up top with Harrington, and it's going to hurt him because now he's going to go behind the 92, behind the 4, behind the 88. May not have been a best move. Harrington showed his cards, and he may not have gotten it done. Look at the 54 of Monsivice. Tries to go topside. Spot not there. The 94 refuses to lift, comes back down, and keeps him on the inside. 90 laps complete, 3 laps to go.
Certainly is. McKeechin forwards with the Merchant looking strong right now. 94 on a resurgence here. 92 pushing. Casey Malone. Atwell and Jorgensen Jr. He's back, working his way towards the front here. There's still some time for this to happen, but it's getting very close now. Looking strong for the 28 car up front, but outside making a charge here. Is there time left? Will we see McKeechin defend?
They're going to come to take 3 to go this time by, and you've got the 94 who's working his way up. He could have easily lifted, allowed Monsivice to get in front of him. It's not how the 94 rolls. He's trying to go back to back. 1 week ago to get himself into the championship, and Frank Basilia trying to take another one and make a statement into the championship. Drag race to the line, just a bit short. It is still Shane McKeechin on the inside at 3 laps to go. Yellow at any moment ends this race. You need a nose in front, and they're tightly packed together in 1 and 2.
They certainly are. 28 and 94 practically side by side here. Overlap there. And it's going to be Basilia third, fully alongside. It's too wide for the lead. Basilia's nose ahead. And it's getting very close here. Will he have it for the inside? The top line's support falls apart now as they drop apart behind them. Jorgensen Jr. and the 20 of Derek Walker falling back. Ahead, edges the 28 of the 32 cars. They've got a 2-car lead now. Is it going to be strong enough? Will somebody drop down and wait here? Monsivice has dropped back a lot at this point. 88 goes forwards. Atwell can't keep up.
2 laps to go, and it was a beautiful move last time down the back by the 28 and the 32. Typically, the top pinches the bottom. They did the opposite. Squeezed those guys high and side drafted off of the outside lane. Penultimate time down the Alabama gang back straight away. They'll beat and bang for the race lead. McEachin, a door slam to the number 94 on the outside of Basilia. He is not going to be able to get clear. Still side by side. The top 5 have a shot.
It could be any one of these top 5 here, Evan, as McEachin noses ahead. 32 pushing, the 88 behind them too. He's locked in. He's choosing who he wants to win this race right now. As Mark Jorgensen Jr. holds that low side, he chooses to support the 2 cars in the bottom. They are hooked up a little better. Can he get himself ahead of 94 and make a charge for the lead late in this one? 1 to go, Evan. Take it away.
The 28 going to fight for everything he's got. Seth the Merchant waiting in second. Does he make a move late? The 94 Basilia falls off late. No help on the outside of the racetrack. Support inbound from 6th on back, but it's not going to be here in time. He sees the 32 walking it up the hill. McEachin goes for the block. Seth looks low. It's not going to happen. It's going to have a hard time finding a way through. The 32 and the 88 have to work together if they want to be able to get around it. Shade McEachin, final time at a quarter number 4. The 28, he'll hold the yellow line. And the 32, just not enough muster. Final time, checkered flag. And Shade McEachin hangs on to win from Talladega.
Fantastic final result there with the 32 in second place, 88 third. And what a finish in the final non-chase race here, Evan, at Talladega. We had fireworks, but they somehow kept it green to the end.
And what a win for Shade McEachin in this one. Came into tonight and already had a win on the season, so it's not going to change the championship picture. He's going to, join Brandon Schuberkel and Rodney Watford with 2 wins on the year, which is good news for those guys who are fighting in on points because they do have 5 points based on points to qualify in. If we got a new winner, only 4 spots would have been open. Somebody would have got booted out, but Shane McKeach did a great job. Seth the Merchant was right there. How about Jorgensen? Came out of nowhere late to get a top 3, but that 28 of Shane McEachin's second win on the season. Last win came at Daytona at the beginning of March. That's a great way to get some momentum built up going into the championship, and a rightful celebration due up.
I absolutely couldn't say it better myself. What a final run as the 28 of Shane McEachin burns it down in the tri-oval. That is one happy driver there.
He is celebrating, and we will chat with him and talk championship racing in just a moment. Shane McEachin is your race winner tonight for the Talladega Superspeedway. We will chat with him, and we will chat with the rest of your top finishers in just a moment on the LSRTV post-race show. You're watching the Superspeedway Cup Series on LSRTV, the voice of sim racing.
Racing, you wanted the best, you got them 4 abreast, often imitated, never duplicated, the greatest show on dirt, the World of Outlaws.
Welcome back live to the Talladega Superspeedway. The regular season has now come and gone. 14 races complete, only 6 remain. The chase starts next Friday night right here on LSRTV and iRacing Live, and we'll talk about that with the top finishers in just a moment. First, let's give you a rundown and take a look at our LSRTV full race results from round number 14. Shane McKeechin, Seth DeBurchett, and Mark Jorgensen Jr., your top 3. We'll go trackside and talk with them just a moment from now. Casey Malone and Frank Basilia, solid finishes coming home inside of the top 5. Jason Altman's a great result. Is it enough for him? We have to wait on the official points, but if the good result comes home, P6 tonight. Brandon Chaburko, lead laps, damage, hinders him to a 7th when it's all said and done. Derek Walker going to come home at 8th position. Garrett Atwell, 9th, and Scott Warren, your biggest mover on the evening, rounds out your top 10.
St. Does coming home today in 11th place. Brandon Cruz Monsivice just outside the top 10 there with damage late in the race. Justin Levine in 12th. Gary Champion, Dan Harrington, Corey Henry 15th with Mike Field, Daniel Holloway, Glenn Hedrick, Ray Renell 2nd, and Andrew Berger running at your top 20 and lead lap cars.
And then to round out things again, I think everybody at this point was off for the lead lap, but 21st on the back includes Ramon Evans in that number 21 position, 22nd for Nathan Davis, Kelly Dahl 23rd, Rod Flagg 24th, and Rodney Wofford inside of the top 25. Chris Bassini comes from 26th, Jared Haggerty 27th, Roger Buff 28th, 29th for Kenny Holderman, Austin Coop comes home in 30th, and rounding out the field shotgun, Scott Saunders in 31st, and Paul Servant in 32nd. But the man of the hour is the 28 of Shane McKeechin, win number 2 on the season, and what a way to head into the championship, exiting tonight with the checkered flag. Shane, congratulations on the win, sir.
Thank you, man. That was crazy. It was we took a chance there, Seth and I, by staying out and not taking fuel, and the cautions came and it paid off.
I know that there wasn't as much on the line for you tonight as there were for others. People up, in the top 10 at the end of this, that if they got to win, they would have locked themselves in. Guys up inside of the top 10 trying to get points for those finishing positions to get in. You guys came into tonight okay. You had a win. You add to it, and it give you a little bit of help with that extra win going into the round of 12 that gets kicked off next week. But I think more importantly, the win just kind of gives you a little bit of momentum. Some drivers think momentum's an overrated thing. I think it's always a good thing to, get good results, to be confident in yourself. But you guys started 18th. You come home with a win in this one in a hard-fought effort. Just kind of talk us through how the night went, and especially that restart with 5 laps to go, because in all honesty, I didn't expect us to get all 5 laps out of it. And I honestly didn't think, especially on top of that you'd be able to defend for 5 constant laps.
Well, not gonna lie, Seth, I owe him big there. He was a little more patient with me than I would have been. He's definitely a competitor, and I expected him to try to make a move. And the only thing is that outside line. If it's not there, you drop to 10th at best. We knew that the 4th place car had some damage, so as long as I could stay ahead of Frank through the restart and let's not get a caution, I knew we would pull away, and we did. But they made some late charges there, and we just had to play the track the best we could.
Tonight going to be career win number 12 for you in that 28 team. So 14 races coming and gone. The regular season now complete. We head back to a chase. We've had seasons with a chase, different from this format. We've had seasons without a chase. So you guys look at this one. We start off, almost like what the NASCAR chase was, I guess, what it used to be with 12 drivers. And in most series, in fact, on Saturday nights, we just went from 12 to 9 drivers in our USR Truck Series. They go 12 and then 9 and 6 and 3. You guys make a big cut, though, after those 3 races from 12 to 6. And then it is 6 drivers in those final 3 races to the end. What are kind of your thoughts on how this chase playoff bracket's going to work out and what it's going to take out of you guys to be successful?
Yeah, now that you mentioned that, race wins are always big, but a lot of times you hurt yourself by trying to win the race, and you take more chances. So maybe try to play this a little smarter, and be there in the points.
You're definitely on the right track. Second most wins, it ends up tied with a couple of guys for 2 wins on the season. For you guys, you get the win tonight. I know that the real objective now gets kicked off in 1 week's time. You kind of knew your fate at the beginning of March there with that first win in Daytona. But before we let you take off, the sponsors, the shout-outs, and all of that good stuff, who makes it happen for you guys getting you to the chase?
Yeah, like always, thank you, you guys, Rod, and like I said again, I Seth a big one there. So hopefully we get him back next season full time, and we can pick up where we left off a couple seasons ago.
It was a good race tonight. The 28 ends up on top. That's your race winner, Shane McEachin. Thanks for sticking around and chatting. Congratulations once again. You got 11 guys to go up against. You got to beat 6 of them. Best of luck. Hopefully we'll chat in the next 3 weeks.
Yeah, man. Thank you too.
That is your race winner tonight. Second win on the season 14 campaign for Shane McEachin. Seth the Merchant, second. Mark Jorgensen, third. Both of them trackside of Rachel White for beginning with the driver who comes home in P2.
I certainly do indeed, as we have in fact got Seth the Merchant here. Seth, second place, all you could manage there at the end, and you pushed McEachin to the win with that one. Any chance you could have taken it yourself?
I don't think there was anything I could do there because the top line was really dead. I could have probably made it or took a chance and went outside and hoped that Mark would have went with me. But I had been kind of working with Shane all night, and I didn't really want to leave him or risk a chance of losing a top 3 finish.
Well, top 3 in the points ended up being a great one for you in terms of where you need to finish in this, but believe you just missed out on chase positions here with points, so not going to be in the chase for the final rounds, but still going to be competing.
Yeah, probably going to see probably help out Shane if I can. I wasn't eligible going into it tonight, even if I won, because I've only run like 4 races anyway, so the win wouldn't have helped me much tonight other than just the win.
It's always good to go out with a win, of course, but second place, a fantastic result after a very tumultuous race tonight. Any sponsors you'd like to give a shout out to?
Just P Money Designs for painting all the cars, and Rod for putting on the league.
Oh, there you go. So a fantastic one there for you guys. And, well, it's back to you in the studio, Evan. Seth the Merchant coming home in second. Final positioning here, we also have Mark Jorgensen Jr. as well. And Mark, third place, you were locked in already. You've had enough wins this season, but you thought you could maybe make something happen, trying to go round those guys on the outside, but a top 3 finish, great way to start the chase, leading the points.
Oh, yeah, it was, I tried like heck there at the final restart to do something. I kind of felt like I was a little bit too far back, but man, that outside was just, I was just passing the guys on the bottom like crazy. I thought about making a move to try to get to the bottom side, but about the time that I thought that, they started stacking up, so I just stayed on the outside and just passed them. And I saw Frank and Casey up there outside, trying to make something happen, and I didn't think that the outside was going to be good. I mean, I'm sure if I stayed up there, we probably would have got Frank to the lead, and he probably would have won the race. But felt like the best thing for me to do was just try to go to the bottom and get around those guys on the outside. And I was really hoping that the 32 car was going to try to make a move on Shane on the last lap. I knew that if he did make a move, it'd probably be coming off of turn 4, but I was chomping at the bit, hoping that it was going to come a little bit sooner, hoping that those 2 cars would get side by side. That way I could try to do something, whether it be push one guy to where it was just me and one guy sorting it out, coming down to the checker. But third place ain't too bad. Started 12th there, and man, that was pretty cool, man. I really wanted to win this. I've been gone for a while due to work, and yeah, luckily those 3 wins that I had early in the season, are going to save me to make the chase. I'm really looking forward to that. Basically, I think in the chase, all you need to do is just finish all the races. Top 5s, top 10s, get you a couple wins, and I think you'll be in good shape. So, yeah, we'll see what happens.
Well, looking strong and confident heading into the chase. Mark Jorgensen Jr., who makes it work for your team?
Man, just my big old size 15 right foot, be able to press real hard on that gas pedal. Like I said, just come up a couple spots short. P3 is a good night after missing several races in a row. But first and foremost, Rod Flag for putting this amazing league on. I mean, this is awesome, man. To race these guys every Friday night. I mean, these guys I think are the cream of the crop when it comes to Talladega and Daytona on iRacing. I mean, we do this every Friday night. We've been doing it for years, for seasons after seasons. And I mean, these guys are good. So, to get up front and be able to battle and run close and have faith that the guys on the bottom are going to do what they need to do to stay on the bottom when you're pinching outside. I mean, just a hats off to everybody in this league. They all do a good job. LSRTV for the broadcast. All of y'all up in the booth, Cisco behind the scenes. I mean, y'all do a badass job. Oh yeah. We're gonna get
says our producer jumping into the room.
Yeah, y'all do a heck of a job with the broadcast. I had my laptop fired up, watching the broadcast. Kind of having a little fun with the comments, going back and forth. It seems like I got a little fan following.
You type too much whilst you're meant to be racing.
Maybe I needed to just focus on racing, but Cisco popped in here. But yeah, huge shout out to him. I was gonna give him a shout out, but he painted this car. It's pretty awesome. I like it. It's kind of modeled after the Dale Jr. Windows 10 scheme that he ran at Sonoma back in 2015. And, I kind of got with him, wanted him to kind of create something with, all the league decals and LSRTV. And, the deck lid I think is pretty cool. It says Rod Car is on your side. So, yeah, he was on my side tonight. Like I said, ended up finishing P3. But, man, I'm so excited to be in the chase. I'm really looking forward to getting my first championship. I mean, it's going to be super hard. I mean, we're going to have a lot of stiff competition, but like I said, if we could just keep the fenders on it, finish these races, and I'm going to cross my fingers and pray to the racing gods. Hopefully, I'll be hoisting that trophy up at the end of the season.
Well, hopefully, you'll have a chance to compete for that one. Mark Jorgensen Jr. coming home today in third.
And he is one of the drivers who didn't have to worry into tonight about whether they would have made it into the championship or not, but there were a lot that did, and we talked about that as the night goes on. So also want to catch up here with Rod Flag, driver who was a part of that battle, and also the guy who had the points tabulated for us. So after 14 races, sir, where are we sitting?
Yeah, well, we are sitting here. We got 12 drivers going to be in the playoffs this season. So I think I communicated a little bit with you, Evan, during the race that if we would have had a first-time winner this season that was not who was in the top 25, it could have pushed it to 13, but we will have 12 drivers. So the number one seed will be Mark Jorgensen Jr. with his 3 wins. Shane McEachin will, with his win, move up to the second seed with his 2 wins. Rodney Wofford also with 2 wins in third seed. The 4th speed will be Brandon Chaburko. He does have an encumbered win, so he actually does have 3 wins, but one of his wins were encumbered. So in the playoffs, one of the wins did not count. But again, he had enough wins to definitely make an impact there in the 4th position. 5th seed will actually be Chris Passini with 1 win. The 6th seed will be Frank Bashilla, winner from last week. Derek Walker, one of our early season winners, will be the 7th seed. Corey Henry will be the 8th seed. He is the first one who had not won a race but was highest in points. Jay Riot, who took advantage of those drop weeks, actually moved into 9th seed. 10th seed will be Paul Servant in the 3-car. 11th seed, Andrew Berger does sneak in that 24-car. 4-time champion. He will be going for number 5. And I am proud to announce that I will be going for my second championship as the 12th seed. And so I'm pretty excited about that.
I know we'll let you take off, but give us a second to kind of chat about this championship, kind of the idea behind it. Again, I noted on Saturdays we have another series that starts with 12 drivers, and it takes a lot longer to get down to 3, which will fight, for their title. But for you guys, you go for 12, and then you send half the drivers home. 3 races, then we go to 6, who go for 3 races, and the top guy at the end of that wins the championship. So we had a lot of people tuned in tonight. Just for those who are hanging out with us, what should they expect and coming up in these next couple of weeks on Fridays?
Yeah, I mean, Evan, you bring up a really good point. Is we do it a little differently. This is actually feedback from the drivers from the last several seasons. Was they really didn't like the fact that we ended the championship on a basically a crapshoot. one race deal. They wanted to have at least some consistency where if you had a semi bad first race, you could potentially recover and do some good things in the final stint of the season. So it's going to be a little interesting because, again, if you win a race in the first 3 races, you will transfer into the the final 6. But again, we're doing 3 and 3, and the last 3 races will be more of a cumulative situation. So it's got to be you're not getting any kind of playoff or bonus points at the leading laps. You're just kind of going in there with the 6 people you're in with, and you just got to be the best driver cumulatively, and that's what the drivers wanted. So we're a league that listens to the drivers. We've always been that way. We always want to make sure we're improving to appeal to their feedback, and that's what's made us successful, I think, in time. So that's what I think it's made us be able to say that we're in season 14 versus season 1, 2, 3, 4, and keeps on going. So it's really exciting that we're entering our season 14 playoff. As we are going to call it a playoff moving forward, and it's going to be really exciting to race. There's a lot of names in there. As far as champions go, it's we got myself, we got Berger, looking at, you got Frank Bashila and Brandon Triperico, and then so it's about half and half. We got champions in there, we got other half looking for their first. So it's gonna be a great battle, and we come right back here to Talladega next week.
And the good news is also for people tuning in is 6 of the next 7 weeks going to be all that action. So it's going to be happening quick, and we hope that everybody joins us. Rod, thanks for sticking around and letting us know how that championship picture is going to look, and best of luck to you. Hopefully we'll do this talking thing more often, but inside the top 3 next week.
I am really hoping it, and I'm going to go celebrate with the 10 crew because I know they're very excited that we you may not have thought we snuck in, but we worked really hard this season and did what we needed to do to make this happen. So appreciate everything LSRTV has done this season so far, and can't wait.
That is a word from your 12th and final Chase driver who will make it into the playoffs, and also the guy who runs the show, Rod Flying, going to be joining a group of drivers who are going to fight. So 12 drivers, 6 races, only 6 of them going to make it into the next round. It all starts next Friday. It's been a fun 14 weeks, but Rachel, I can't help but to say I think things are really just getting started.
Absolutely, Evan. Things are only just beginning here in the Superspeedway Cup Series. Yeah, like you, I think I have a feeling that we have only just seen the beginning. Or is this, to quote Winston Churchill, just the beginning? Or the end of the beginning?
We hope that you stick around and find out with us. So we still got more stuff coming up this week, though. Again, don't forget to tune in with us tomorrow night as we wrap out our weekly schedule of stuff going on, talking about our Saturday night series and so on and so forth. Well, tomorrow night we've got United Sim Racing Truck Series action, and then at the start of next week on Sunday, we've got Dirt. You can find more information on that on our website at www.livesimracing.com. There you'll also find a full broadcast schedule, or you can find out more information by keeping up to date with us on the social medias. Make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube at youtube.com/C/LSRTV, and you can also follow us on Twitter, that's at LSRTV, and like us on Facebook at facebook.com/LSRTV official. Until next time, on behalf of the entire team at LSRTV LLC, for the folks who make it happen night in and night out, and for the broadcast crew tonight, for myself, Evan Pasoko, Rachel Whiteford, and Cisco Scaramouze, I want to congratulate Shane McKeechin, your winner, and also give a big call to your 12 championship drivers who will fight for the title. Jorgensen, McKeechin, Wofford, Chaburko, Passini, Basilia, Walker, Henry, Oltmans, Servant, Berger, and Flag. Those are the 12, and we will see you as the championship gets kicked off next Friday night, right here from Talladega once more, and right here on LSR TV, the voice of sim racing. Good night.